County Commissioners Court is now in session. We'll have the opening prayer by Pastor Kevin Skinner of the First Baptist Church of Stockdale, Texas. Thank you.
Now with me and let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we thank you, Lord, for today. This is the day that you have made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. We rejoice in this day, Lord, because we rejoice in you. I pray, Lord, today for provision in this place, Lord, that you would provide wisdom. Lord, wisdom in discussion, wisdom in all the decisions that are being made today. Lord, I pray that you would provide peace in this place, Lord. In a world of unrest, I pray, Lord, that this would be a place of peace today. Lord, and finally, I pray, Lord, that you would provide your presence, Lord, that your presence would be in this place, that your presence would be in this county, Lord, that your presence would be in our lives each and every day, Lord. And so we just give this time to you today. We give this meeting to you. It's in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Pastor Skinner. Okay, we're going to go to agenda item 3, public comments, unless there's something to do with the redistricting. Okay, so we're going to go to agenda item 5, 9 a.m. public hearing for the redistricting for the purpose of receiving comments on the redistricting of the commissioners' precincts. Has everybody signed the? Signed in for the public hearing? And I don't, oh, she's still passing it? Does anybody have any comments?
No.
Okay. I'm going to explain a little bit about what has happened to this. We're getting a little more compact and concise on some of the precincts. Precinct 4 at one time, and it's still rather stretched out, but it went all the way to 181 at the Bexar County line. It's finally coming off of that a little bit. The subdivisions up there are going into precinct 1 because it had less population than any other precinct. Precinct 2 had to go up farther up 181. Matter of fact, precinct 4 does not touch 181 anymore, which is something we've been trying to get done for the last 30 years since it happened. Precinct, and here's one thing, the bottom part of, on 97 West, there was one little area there that had remained in precinct 1 when Roger Lopez was a commissioner. That was where he resided. It's not a factor anymore, so all of that has gone to precinct 2. Okay, 3 things that have happened: that the census blocks weren't drawn well, and they're drawn by the federal government and set down here. I wish we'd have had input, but at the top part of precinct 2 that you can see up there, there's a little, that is the last subdivision, 7 Oaks. It was put in precinct 1. It's going to be drawn back into precinct 2, where anybody down that road, down Wilson County Park Road, will be in precinct 2. The other one is the Woodlands, which you really can't see up there. The street going in the Woodlands and one street to the right off as you were going in, which would be to the south, was in precinct 4 or 3, precinct 1, and the other part of it was in precinct 4. That's going to be drawn all into precinct 4, where there will not be any subdivisions. And the other one is Eden Crossing, part of that existing, and then the new unit 8 we're going to be drawn into precinct 1. We've all changed that and put it back into precinct 4. So that's 3 things that really were impacted that needed to be done that hadn't been done. There were several places at the end of a road. I think the only place is the end of County Road 326 is still in precinct 4. But that's that would have been rather difficult to get it drawn in and expensive, because we had to. It's going to be another expense to pay for all of these additional. Where we changed and get them, get the consensus blocks the way they should have been. But, any commissioner have anything to comment?
It was well, this is my second turn through this. This one was considerably easier than the last one was, and from the standpoint of speed, it was the quickest. It was a matter, everyone worked really well together on solving this issue and getting all the precincts in the line that they should be in. I just want to make that point. Although I'm still not crazy about going from, from Bear County to Gonzales County, but that's just the way it has to be.
Like I said, that happened back in 1990, and
Yeah.
it's getting better,
It
but it's
is.
still got a long ways to go. And precinct 4 went from the highest populated precinct to the lowest populated now, so
Which,
that gives you room to grow.
exactly.
And I got to elaborate on something Commissioner Wiley said. In most counties, we're dreading this. Our commissioners' court worked together as far as what, and it surprised the Bickerstaff firm that came down and helped us, is how well everybody worked together and agreed. All of the changes came in one little block, or except for where we got the census box corrected, but all of the change in population came from that one little area, right in the center of the county, more or less, to get all the population right in all the precincts. Anybody else? Well, I guess this,
Judges, will this be put online so the residents can see it?
it should, yeah, if it hadn't been. Can you put it online, Leanne?
I'll get John, I think the files were sent.
Or where did Leighton go? We can get it on the line, online.
It should be.
We've got it printed out.
And this will take effect January the 1st?
Well, we
After
haven't
our approval?
voted on it yet.
Okay.
We vote on it next Commissioners Court meeting on the 8th.
But whatever the changes are, will take
And then
effect
whatever the
then.
changes are, if everything passes, which I'm hoping that it will, then it takes effect, from what I'm told, January the 1st. That way y'all can get your stuff off the roads before the other commissioners take over.
Yeah, if I have anything close to precinct 2, you got to move it.
We're gonna discuss.
Okay. Well, that is a public hearing, if nobody has any comments. Okay, then let's go back up to agenda item number 4, certificates of completion and awards. We have,
Public comments, Judge, number 3.
well, I did public comments with nobody before I did this. In case they had comments for the redistricting. So agenda item 4, certificates of completion and awards. And we have, I know one, County Judges and Commissioners Association of Texas, Honorable Jeffrey Perdola has come on January the 15th, 2021. Seminar for newly elected judges and commissioners has 20.5 hours. And July the 1st, 2021, South Texas Judges and Commissioners Conference, 12 hours. So, and this has come, you have met your 2021 Commissioner Statutory Continuing Education. You want this? Any other one?
Judge, may I read the letter?
Oh, yes, you want to, okay, our illustrious auditor has a letter to read.
Yes, it's a letter, Dear Judge Jackson and Commissioners Court, on behalf of the Floresville Peanut Festival Association, we would like to thank you and the commissioners for all the support, resources, and assistance in preparing for the 77th Annual Peanut Festival. The festival was a huge success with record crowds in attendance. Without your support and use of the courthouse grounds for the activities and carnival, staff, and other resources, this would not have been made possible. The county personnel and staff were so very helpful and are to be commended for going above and beyond and helping to get everything in place in order. We also want to thank you again for the hotel occupancy tax funds that helped us in promoting tourism and the festival event for our beautiful city. Out-of-town guests as well as residents were out in record numbers to enjoy the festival. With the record crowds in the downtown area for the event, our cleaning crews worked diligently and put in extra hours to ensure everything was back in place. If we missed anything that needed additional attention, please let us know so that we can address it and be sure everything is taken care of. We appreciate you and Commissioners Court and look forward to our continued partnerships in working together to bring visitors and future festivals and events to our beautiful city. Thank you again for all of your support. Raynell Rogers, President, Floresville Peanut Festival Association.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes care of the certificates of completion and awards. And we're going to agenda item 6, Paul Fowle, Commissioner, Precinct 2. Discuss and take action on sick leave pay and overtime for employees.
Judge, I know in the past that if you had an employee that took a day of sick leave through a week and then worked on say a Saturday or got called out, that time was straight time. And what's happened here in the past, they charged that time that he was called out as sick time to fill up the 40 hours. And there was nothing in the policy, and I just feel that that sick time should be part of his 40 hours. And if he gets called out or works on a Saturday, that would be straight time. And we need to put something in policy.
Straight time till it goes over 40 hours worked.
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you clarify? Because I don't believe that that's what.
What's happened is, and I got timesheets from these individuals where individual took sick leave in a week, and then he worked Saturday, okay? Well, instead of giving him the sick leave, part of that Saturday hours went for that time he took off.
So he got paid for the total number of hours worked on the Saturday, correct?
As part of that.
As
against his
regular
sick leave.
hours? As regular hours?
And went against his sick leave.
No. So what happened was the employee called in the middle of the week, correct? Called in sick, like say on a Wednesday?
He was scheduled off
Okay.
for sick leave, yes.
Correct. So on Saturday, he came into work. He was paid his straight hours for Saturday, and we only used the amount of sick leave hours that were needed to make up his 40 hours for the week for the time that he took off on Wednesday. I just wanted to clarify that he did get paid his straight
He got
8
paid, but
hours
what I'm trying to
for
say, he
Saturday.
actually lost hours. Because if he would have worked the full 5 days, he would have got overtime.
Correct.
But being he didn't work, he should have got paid 32 hours of hours productive work, 8 hours of sick leave. And then if he got called in, would be straight time.
Yeah, I disagree with that, and the reason is,
Well, then we need to put some kind of policy, because it's not in the policy.
right, but I just want to make sure that,
And no one has the authority to change the timesheets other than the elected official or supervisor.
correct.
That's in the policy. And I don't quite understand why you're saying, I mean, we've done that in the past where the person would, like this past holiday, I had to call some people in for that holiday, which one of them had sick leave in that week, one day. So that 2.5 hours that he works on that holiday, you took it away from his sick leave. He didn't get 8 hours of sick leave.
So the reason I disagree, and you guys can let me know if you disagree or agree, but county sick leave is a county paid benefit. It is not required for the county to pay out when an employee leaves the county as compared to vacation. So in my opinion, what you're discussing or what you're suggesting is that we use county money, county taxpayers' money to pay above and beyond what's required by the county to pay for sick leave to an employee outside of their standard normal shift hours, 40 hours a week, whatever the shift is. So we are then saying that we want to expend additional county funds when it's not necessary to do that because sick leave is not a required benefit.
it's not necessary for him to come in on Saturday either.
Exactly.
Okay, here's a scenario. You work, say the 32 hours, and you take 8 hours of sick leave. You come in and work 3 hours, say 8 hours. Come in and work, okay, and he gets paid, you take the sick leave away and he gets paid for 4. Why'd he come in? He's gonna get paid for 40 hours if he don't come in.
Sure, no, I understand
I
what
don't
you're
think
saying,
that
but
that's-
I'm also saying if you do this, you're opening it up. We have 23, almost 24,000 hours of sick leave on the books. So what you're saying is you're opening that for every department and every employee in this county to potentially, basically what it is, it's considered double dipping, basically, because you're paying that employee additional time that's not required because they're able to make up those hours if they work, whether they work on a
Are
weekend.
we gonna require them to make up those hours?
No, I would not. I
If we
wouldn't
don't
say that.
require them, then why should they come in on
No,
Saturday?
if they're not required, then that's what the sick leave benefit is there for. That's my opinion. My job is not to tell you what to decide. My job is to tell you how it affects the county finances. In my opinion, that is expending county money that's not necessary to do. That's up to you guys
How
to
are you gonna
decide.
get these people to come in if you need them in an emergency situation on a weekend?
When it doesn't mean anything to them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come in and work just to save my sick leave? I'm
So
gonna
you-
stay home and get paid for it.
Another example would be, what if you have an employee that works, say if they have a 40-hour work week, and you have that employee that works their 40 hours in the matter of 3.5 days, and then call in sick half of the day Thursday and half of the day Friday. You're okay with paying that employee 12 hours of sick time because they've already made up their time, their 40 hours?
I don't think any of the commissioners would let that happen.
Well, but that's the point I'm making. If we're going to set policy, to me, it has to be countywide. We can't just pick and choose which one it's going to be applied to.
My understanding, right or wrong, over time, was more consistent with what you're saying. Now, I understand the issue. What I was told when I came in years ago is if someone takes a day off of sick time, now, we work 4 10-hour days, that if they come in on a Friday, that it's straight time.
Yes.
That they don't get, now, for you, it'd be a Saturday, we're Monday through Thursday, that it would be straight time, not time and a half.
Correct.
It does pose a problem in instances, although I've been able to work my way through it over time, that all of a sudden we have a situation like we did 2 weeks ago when we get 6.5 to 12 inches of rain and you need everybody to come in on Friday, and all the people who operate equipment to work Saturday. It could pose a problem. Now, my guys come in. I see both sides of it, quite frankly.
And this one employee, he's almost out. I mean, total, is 480 hours of sick leave. Anything over that, they lose.
Correct. That's why we have almost
And so
24,000
he
on
should
the
have,
book.
what I'm trying to say, being that you took that time that he worked that extra day, okay, he could lose his sick leave if it stays that way. Because he's accumulating sick leave every pay period.
How much sick leave do you accumulate every pay period? 3.7? Okay. Okay, say, here's an for instance, say he has a 480 hours of sick leave, and then he takes off, then y'all take it back away and give him 480 hours, he's losing 3.7 hours of sick leave every time, every week. Instead of, what's that?
I said, I see your point that he's losing the 3.7, but
Yeah.
it's 480 hours.
Yes.
If he's up to the 480 hours,
Yeah, he wouldn't accrue it after 480 anyway.
yes, he wouldn't accrue anymore, so you're taking his pay away, you're giving him sick leave, and then, in 3 weeks, or 3 pay periods, he's back up to 480 hours, because he wouldn't, he's,
Right, but what I'm saying in terms of how it affects the county finances whereas vacation, we're required by law to pay it out, right? We have that in a policy that we pay out to a certain amount. We don't pay out sick leave.
That's correct.
So why would the county want to incur an additional expense, is my question.
Well, I can understand that.
Because
I
it
can,
does-
I can
it's-
argue the county's point.
Right, because it's gonna
But I can
affect the
also argue
budget.
the employee's point.
Absolutely.
Why am I coming in on Saturday for nothing?
So what happens if the employee doesn't have any sick time available? They
Well, then I
won't
can
come in on
understand that
Saturday?
too.
That's leave without pay.
So that's the point I'm making, is that we're opening the door for a lot that could potentially be detrimental and from a financial standpoint to the county. If you have every employee that do this in every department, you're going to see us be upside down in our budgeted salaries line items.
How often, other than road and bridge and maybe the sheriff's office, do you have people come in on Saturdays or holidays?
It doesn't, what you're saying a Saturday, but it can be any day. It can be for any circumstance. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for somebody who works on a Saturday. If one of Dawn's employees calls in sick in the middle of the week and she has all these tax payments that need to be receipted before a Monday, she could potentially call in an employee to come in on a Saturday. So it's going to apply for all employees in the county, not just road and bridge employees.
Well, I can understand that, but my deal is I think we're taking advantage of the employees that are coming out.
And I feel like we give that as a benefit to the employees to be used when absolutely needed, and I feel
I
like
don't
we're
think that
taking-
happens.
But I feel-
can give you very many examples of sick leave being used because I can be off 2 days and not have to go to the doctor.
Sure, and then you can come and get called into work on Saturday to make up that time and still get paid an additional 16 hours.
I kind of doubt that this person took off.
I'm not saying it's this person, I'm saying I look at it
Yes.
from a county
There's always a
perspective.
chance.
I know
always
there's
a
many
chance.
times sick leave was used
Mm-hmm.
and it's been stopped since then for something besides sick leave.
Well, we've also had employees terminated for doing that also.
We had what?
Employees terminated
And I know we've had some
Calling in
employees that
for
took
sick
advantage and
leave
weren't
when they-
terminated.
when
But
they were
my
not sick.
deal is.
I agree,
is-
Judge, that I think, it's important that we offer the benefit to the employees, but I disagree because I feel like we're taking advantage of taxpayers' money by allowing that. So that's my opinion as your auditor, that's my job to let you know. It's up to you to make the decision.
I mean, like Commissioner Wiley said, when we first took office, that's what they told us to do, and it hasn't affected the budget in any way that I know of.
Well, in the last 2.5 years that I've been here, this is the first time that it's been brought to my attention.
Because it was just happened. It
No,
just-
it has not.
We're doing payroll for over 3 years in this county.
I know, but it just happened.
Implemented a policy, or not policy, excuse me, implemented that for payroll practices, budget purposes as well, is sick leave, you're just getting to your 40 hours. Vacation's a different story. But with sick, it's kind of been stressed that it's up to 40. And there are some times people don't understand, and they will have to come in. They were off Tuesday, and they work 2 hours in the evening time because they have to stay. So they knew, wait, to get to my 40, I'm only using 6 hours of sick and not 8. So that's what we've tried to express throughout the few years of just a
Okay.
payroll practice on sick leave. Because it is a county benefit, it's not something you have to pay out vacation-wise. That's where we've come from, or that's what we've tried to express on that. Just the hours to get you to 40 for your sick leave. Because I can see it being, in my opinion, possibly abused, not abused, but to the term of, yes.
What is the incentive to somebody to come in other than just want to be a good county worker? We're coming in on Saturday when I'm not gonna realize anything from it.
You're gonna realize,
Sick leave. How many people do you talk about, oh, I gotta do this where I can save, build my sick leave up? You don't hear that too often.
But it could be if an
you still,
employee has-
I guess it depends, if you're off a full day, you're gonna get paid. If you take Monday off, sick leave, and you work, again, we work 4 10-hour days, and on Friday, you have to work, you get paid for Friday's hours, but you don't get time and a half.
No,
No, you don't get paid for them.
you don't get paid for them because she.
Until
she's
you
applied
work
to the
more
sick leave.
hours than you took off sick leave, you don't get any more money.
You don't-
Physically make your 40 hours, that's why.
You absolutely get paid for them.
No, you don't.
What? Whoa. No. If he has an employee that works off Monday, takes 10 hours off, works Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, comes in Friday and works 10 hours, what are you gonna pay him? 40 hours.
Say it one more time so I can answer that correctly.
He's got an employee that's off Monday, takes 10 hours sick leave
On Monday.
on Monday. And then he comes in and works Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and has to come in on Friday because the roads are washed out. And you're gonna pay him for 40 hours.
Correct.
Yes.
Physically work, yes.
Because he
So in a
physically worked
nutshell,
40
basic-
hours.
In a nutshell, basically what they do is they reduce the number of sick hours by the hours that was worked over that 40 to make it an even 40.
I don't know
So
that
if
they
he
do-
didn't come in Friday,
So he doesn't
he'd get the
get
same
paid
paycheck he's gonna get for coming in Friday,
Yes.
Whether he comes in or not.
whether he comes in or not.
Unless he took a day of vacation on Monday, then he would get 10 hours of vacation paid for Monday, but not sick leave because we are required to pay vacation and not sick leave.
I don't know that they should get time and a half, but it seems to me that they should be.
No, well, nobody's complaining about the time and a half, the straight time.
I don't see how legally they can't pay somebody if they do come in and work a full day.
They do
even
get
if they
paid.
had a-
No,
Even if they
they're-
had a sick.
They
You
would-
get paid, but you get your sick
Yeah, you
leave
get your
put
sick
back
leave
in the
taken away
bank.
from.
Yes.
No, you don't get it taken away from you, Commissioner. You get your 10 hours of sick leave put back into your bucket to use in the future when it's really needed. That's-
Okay, and what about the scenario I had a while ago when it's not needed? When he's got 480 hours,
He loses it.
he loses it.
And that saves the county that much money.
That's why there's a cap. Yeah, that's.
Right.
Well, and not only that, I mean, if he applied it, he'd get it, earn it back in a couple
Sure.
pay periods anyway. so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's what, it's gonna be back, he's gonna get back. I remember we only had 240 hours. I don't know how many hours of sick leave I lost not accruing them because I was there. But
And
my deal is, I think that employee should get paid straight time until he gets
Straight time.
40 hours and then time and a half after that. He should not have his sick leave put back in the bank
no,
because
Any
he's
employee.
sick.
any employee,
Any employee,
Any employee.
yes.
any
I'm not
employee.
sure that they should get time and a half.
No,
No.
only after 40
That's
hours.
for 40-hour productivity.
But I just, they've already put, as far as for legal stances, they've got 40 hours, they got 40 hours. Okay? And then they come in on Saturday, that gives them 48 hours. But then you're gonna take 8 hours back from them.
But you do
Because-
understand that we only budget for 2,080 hours per employee on a
What do
regular.
we budget for
40-hour.
overtime?
It depends by department. Each department, some have overtime budgeted, some do not.
Okay, I have overtime, so that would go out of that overtime budget.
Because that's what it is, it's
You
overtime.
can't do that unless you're paying them overtime.
Included in those hours.
Correct.
Anything over 40 physically worked, yes, overtime. But if you have 32 physically worked and you're 8, let's say, well, that's a bad example. If you physically worked 36 and you're adding your 8 of sick in there, of course you're getting over 40, but it can't be overtime.
No, we're talking straight time.
Right, but you can't code it to overtime in the budget because that's not the way it's designed. Overtime is overtime at time and a half.
So Commissioner Wiley and our guys work 4/10s. When they get a sick day, do they get paid for 8 hours or 10 hours?
10,
Yeah,
They do get paid for 10?
correct.
It's hour for hour.
On the time.
But we're gonna have a change in the personnel policy manual. I guess we can approach that then, but I can tell you what my stance is gonna be. I think that you're not treating the employee right by not
paying them.
letting him have that sick leave.
I mean, either you're giving them sick leave or you're not.
Yeah,
If you-
and why
if you're
have
not
sick
gonna
leave?
pay 'em when they
Why
come in
have
an
sick
extra
leave when
day?
they can come in later and work and make it up?
And I'm just afraid that we are opening the doors to have a lot.
There's a lot of door openings that have opened, but it's up to the supervisor or the elected official to keep,
What I'm
Control of
but
it.
what I'm saying is to protect the official, to protect the department head, when you start having employees who could potentially abuse it and work their shift hours in 3 or 4 days and call in sick the other 2 days, y'all are ultimately going to have to approve that. And I'm just looking out for your best interest as well.
what do you do if somebody calls in sick for 2 days? You know, don't have to go to the doctor, I'm sick, and you know they're not sick. And then they come in and then like that, what do you do there? That's abused. That's not 8 hours like Commissioner Fall was talking about.
That goes back to the, I think you may also be opening up a door to allow, employees that have that time built up to use all of their sick leave before they.
And that's what, it's happened.
Yes.
It has happened, so nobody stopped that. I'm just saying, if somebody comes in and works, if they were sick on Monday, and they come in and work on Saturday, I'm saying they should get paid for working on Saturday.
I think that we should have someone and just investigate what the policy is of
Well, nobody's
other counties-
enforcing the policy
Other counties in
anyway.
our area. Are we the only one that does that, or does what's the approach of Atascosa, Karnes, Guadalupe?
Neither way is wrong.
You're gonna have less abuse, like we're talking on this scenario, than you are the other scenario.
Because I don't see where in the past it's affected the county's budget or abuse by doing it this way. Because it don't happen very often that I know of.
This other scenario happens.
Yes. This one.
It can happen anytime, but you've gotta have overtime work before this other scenario can happen.
I mean, both of these cases were happening to my employees. One was a Saturday, we had the collection facility. We needed all the employees we could possibly get. And the other one was on the holiday. It was an emergency. And, I mean, it just doesn't happen very often. And they were scheduled, they didn't call in sick, they had a scheduled doctor's appointment that day, that they were off. I think it's up to the department head or the elected official to oversee that employee's time also, so he don't take an abuse. Yes, I can understand your point. It could happen, but it's not, I mean, this, like I said, in the past, I don't know where it's bankrupt the county because of this.
Commissioner Wiley, to your point or to your question regarding other counties, would it be beneficial for me to get an Attorney General's opinion on it?
Yeah, no?
No.
She says no?
I think that would be, and whether it's allowed,
Whether it's allowed or what the best practice would be is what.
would you, before you send the request for the, can I read it?
Sure, absolutely. If you want me to get one, I can.
If we do it, we need to make certain we're right.
Well, and that's often the reason we don't have.
Because they're not gonna penalize us for doing more, they'll penalize us for doing less. And y'all, with that scenario, it's less. All we're doing is we're paying them for their sick leave. And what y'all are doing is you're not paying them for their sick leave.
Yeah, I can tell you what our employees is gonna tell you.
Of them, yeah, ask the employees.
Yeah, they wanna, if they come in and work, they wanna get paid for it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give them sick leave, you're
Like I
giving them
said,
sick
if
leave
I-
if they're off Monday. If they come in and work Saturday and we call them in, they don't come in and work Saturday unless we call them in an emergency situation.
But you do understand they are getting paid for the time that you call them in.
They're not getting paid for it. You're saying they're taking their sick leave back. If they don't come in, they're gonna get the same check that they get if they do come in. They don't have to come in.
I can can get the.
It puts us in a bad spot, because if they
Yes.
need them in an emergency situation, they're gonna say, I ain't coming in. You're
I'm not
gonna
coming
pay
in,
me.
it's not gonna
You're not
gonna
pay me,
benefit
so
me.
why should I come in?
You don't
It doesn't
understand
happen
that.
very often.
Okay, look at the employees. If he's worked 40 hours already, or including the sick leave, gonna get paid for 40 hours, and Paul calls him to come in and work 8 hours,
And you're not gonna get paid.
he's not gonna get a penny more if he comes and works that 8 hours.
They're not gonna come in.
He's not gonna come in.
And I have employees that ask to come in to make up time so that they can
Well, then that's up to you.
That's up to you.
save their.
If they need their sick leave, or want their sick leave, but do they come in to work, make up sick leave, or they come in to make up vacation time?
That's what I'm saying.
That's-
So this is basically what we're going to allow. Employees to make up to work hours to make up any sick leave that they're going, and we're gonna pay them the sick leave that they use and pay them the extra hours they work
Well,
at
and
straight.
like Dawn just explained, they're coming in to make it up, so they're getting it taken off.
Right, but if we do it now, what you're suggesting.
Well, if
can
they
take-
come in and ask, if I work these hours, you can grant them that. If they wanna come in and make it up.
Right, but
But what I'm saying is, you're calling them in to work, and then you're gonna take it away from them, whether they want to or not.
But I think what she's saying is, though, if you have now, if we have an employee that calls in sick on Tuesday and wants to work Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, an additional 8 hours to make up, they have to allow that to happen. So now we're gonna pay the 8 hours of sick time.
It's up to the elected official.
Right, but what I'm saying is then that, again, is going to greatly negatively affect our budget. And at the end of the day, you guys are the ones that have to, to speak to being over budget in salaries by allowing this to happen. To your constituents, not to me, but I'm saying just in general.
I would like to know what other counties do of similar size.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe that's the first step we need to take before we ask for an AG's opinion. Is to find out what everybody else is doing and look and see. I mean, common practice in out-of-county businesses today is to have your sick leave and your vacation all rolled into one package.
It's policy, and what the statutes are, is that they give you a minimum guideline, and that's, the minimum guideline is what you're talking about. If we do something over and above that, that's good.
And I think that's.
We're not gonna get penalized for paying them to come in on Saturday.
Right, and I don't think she's disagreeing with that as long as you have it in the budget. Is that
Correct.
basically what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah, and
see how we-
currently it is not because it's currently budgeted the way.
Okay, let me ask you this, just out of that employee's not sick. He works 40 hours. Paul calls him in. Where's that money coming from?
Overtime.
His overtime budget.
Okay,
But she just said that if it's not truly overtime, because you've got to physically work 40 hours.
I understand that.
But it doesn't come out of the overtime line item because it's not truly overtime.
What if this person never gets sick? Or whatever. It's not gonna, 8 hours of overtime, and this is not something that happens all the time. If it happened weekly or whatever, with somebody doing it, but it's happened one time, and that employee got, to me, shorted 8 hours of pay. This is not, has it happened any other time? When's the last time it happened? It's not gonna, 8 hours of overtime's not gonna break us.
There has been times where I have physically called the employee to let them know, because they worked over their hours, to let them know you can reduce your hours of sick. They were ecstatic because they want to save that. There was no, granted, they weren't even under the impression of how that works, but once I said to maintain that 40, to at least get to that 40, you only need 4 hours. So they redid a timesheet, showed just 4 hours on that day because they covered 4 hours on another day, or had to stay late 2 hours for 2 days, whatever the case was. So yes, things like that has happened. And
Okay.
we have expressed that to the employee, had a timesheet changed, do that so that they could stay their sick leave. Yes.
Okay, and that's employees that need, or think they need
When I
sick
say
leave
their
built
sick
up.
leave,
Not necessarily, they still have a very large amount, whether it be like someone thinking in the future they already got on maternity leave, or if they happen to get really ill, or a child be out. So they still have a large amount of hours. It wasn't like they were down just maybe to 50 or 100. They had a very large amount where they could have hit that in a couple payrolls to hit their cap of 480. They could have been at 350 and it was still ecstatic to save it, because you never know what's gonna happen in the future. But going back really quick, I'd like to at least rephrase that, or at least change the wording on that, because I don't want that to be quoted that way. We're not taking that work that they did away on Saturday from them. We're not taking it. We're paying them for it. We're just reducing their sick hours that they requested to go back in their bank.
What if they didn't request it?
Said we took the time or their pay away? No, we didn't pay, we paid them. We physically paid them for the hours they worked on Saturday. We just reduced their hours that they requested of sick leave.
Did that, you're saying requested. Did they come in and did your employee request that?
No,
Yeah, he requested 8 hours of sick, correct?
yes,
So in a scenario, the way that, if that's the same scenario that I can remember, is he physically worked 32 hours Monday through Friday, took sick Tuesday, called him in Saturday, worked, I believe, 6 hours. So that was technically 38 hours of physically worked time. He requested 8 hours that Tuesday. So what you're wanting to happen in the future, if it's passed or discussed, you want him to be paid 46 hours. That was the 38 hours, excuse me,
correct, straight time.
38 hours physically worked, as well as 8 hours of sick. So you're looking at 46 hours for that first week or second week. Okay.
Correct.
Keep in mind, if you were to do that, how many commissioners might have that happen to them every payroll, once or 2 employees? That's gonna add up. It does happen. It does, and we try to look at that.
When does it happen? Because that's the commissioner or the elected officials, they need to keep an eye on that. If you see an employee that's abusing something, you sit him down and have a talk with him.
You're right, that is a supervisor.
Yes.
I can't physically do that, but then a supervisor could physically.
Yes,
take
I understand
Yeah.
that. But if it happens to him, or any of these, or the sheriff, or Dawn, they need to set that employee down and say, hey, I know what you're doing, okay?
If it's an abuse,
And you're abusing this.
You have your correction officers, that they do make those hours, and you have your deputies that will make those hours. So this could happen, and that's a lot of employees as well. So you're not just looking at your road and bridge down and never doing it.
Well, I understand, and I just said that.
Just it happens. It
I
happens.
just said that. Like I said, you're probably not gonna get me to change my mind on how I think this is.
I just didn't like it worded that way, because we're not taking the money away from what they physically worked. That's what I'm saying. I didn't like.
Well, it didn't take money away from the physically work, well, why come in? Why come in and work for free?
You're not working for free, because you're getting paid for the hours you work. You are, you're getting paid for the hours you physically worked. We just reduced their sick leave, that's it. That's it. You're getting paid for the hours you worked, you will. They are.
Well,
So then are we giving them sick leave or are we not?
no, but why have sick leave? Let them take sick leave off, and you come in Friday, Saturday and work, then we don't have to worry about that.
then why do we have sick leave?
Why do we have sick leave? Because you're gonna get people, well, I don't wanna come in Saturday and work, so I'm gonna come to work sick. Make sure everybody's got it.
Because not every department has work to be done on a Saturday.
And we don't either unless it's an
Well,
emergency, unless it's an emergency
while ago, it was
situation.
almost abusive that so many people come in on Saturdays and
No.
take advantage of
No, I
that.
didn't say that. I said you're potentially opening the door for that to happen. I'm not saying it's happening.
Okay, how many times do y'all work on Saturdays?
Very rarely,
Very little.
So it can't open a very big door.
except for flood situations or something, road washouts.
I'm saying in the future.
Library's open on Saturdays.
Yep.
So what we do is if a person is sick on Monday or Tuesday and they don't have a lot of time or they want to save their time, we just shift their hours and allow them to work on a Saturday. That way, they save their sick time for when they need it.
And I agree with that. You can let them do that.
They come in.
But if this employee wants to get paid for his sick leave and doesn't want to come in or whatever,
A sick leave is a fringe benefit.
Correct.
It's
yes.
entitled to it.
Then they should get paid.
If
No,
this person
that's
doesn't
different
get
from the
sick a lot,
payables benefit.
then once they're capped, that's up to
What's the difference between sick leave and vacation? We don't have to give either.
you have to give vacation.
Either one of them.
You have to give vacation. You have to, because our policy
Our
states that.
policy says
our-
so, but if. it
Oh,
was-
no, our policy says that.
Federal
Does the
regulation-
state say that we have to give vacation?
Yeah.
Okay, we're giving all of it. There's no difference in sick leave
But our
or
policy
vacation.
state- But see, on our books, we have to accrue for vacation hours payable because our policy states that we will pay up to a certain amount if the employee leaves the county.
Yes.
The
40
policy,
hours.
the policy does state that we do not pay out sick leave when an employee leaves the county. So sick leave is not held as a liable payable on our books because it's not something that the county has to pay.
But it also in the
It's
policy
fit-
says
You
an
could look
employee.
at sick.
We could take, now
You could
here's
look at
this.
sick leave as a gift that can be taken away versus vacation that has to be paid out. We cannot not pay an employee when they leave.
Because it's in our policy.
Correct.
We could take vacation and sick leave both out of our policy,
Correct.
and we're not gonna get in trouble for it.
Correct. You are correct.
Okay, so it's just, okay, you're prioritizing vacation over sick leave.
Based on our policy.
I'm not prioritizing, I'm just stating what our policy says.
Commissioner Martin mentioned a while ago, sort of totally different, is, at least I think is what he mentioned. A lot of companies now don't have sick leave and they don't have vacation time. They have personal time, and it's good for 12 months. And if you use it, fine. If you don't use it, then it starts all over again. I don't know if any counties are doing that or not.
There are some counties who have PTO versus traditional sick leave
I
and
mean,
vacation.
you get, I don't know what the number is. If you're to the point where you get 2 weeks of vacation, you might get the equivalent of 30 days a year that you could use however you wanted to use it. And in that circumstance, I guess people would get overtime, but you don't have all this big bank of things that build up. To me, that's something that could be considered.
Well, that's what I say. I think there's several options here to look at, and obviously, there's multiple ways to look at it, and I think we need to kind of find out what everybody else is doing, see what seems to be right, what do we need to do to, I won't say we need to correct this problem, but address it however it seems appropriate.
I have no problem with people that want to build their sick leave up, doing what Nikki says, come in on Saturday to make it up. But if you have somebody that has 480 hours of sick leave, and what am I gonna do with more sick leave? I'm gonna lose it. So why am I gonna come in on Saturday and work when I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna make, in 3 weeks or 3 pay periods, I'll have my sick leave maxed out again.
And the policy also says that a person, as long as it's scheduled, will get paid for sick leave in a policy. It doesn't say in there they gotta work so many hours before they get sick leave. It says that they will get paid on their day off. And it says that in the policy.
We need to form a committee to take a look at
It
this.
says what in there?
If an employee gets scheduled sick leave and a supervisor approves it, they get paid. It don't say in there they gotta work 40 hours to get sick leave, that's what they're doing. Because they're making them, if a person comes in on Saturday, they're taking that part away from their sick leave that they work, or that they were off. In here, it says that an employee would get paid sick leave with the approval. Look under sick leave. I've got it marked.
You got it marked?
Or one page over back. Right there.
Okay.
what we would have to do is take all of these hours by department and put a dollar amount, a dollar value to it, and have to, in essence, potentially raise the tax rate in order to have the available revenue to offset this, because now we're saying this is going to be a required payable.
What does it say that they will get? Because that would be a general assumption that, yes, they're gonna get paid 8 hours, and then it goes from there, but where is it? Here, I'll let you look and see.
Judge, I would just recommend for next year and for budgeting purposes, if this is something that we're going to do, that we would need to budget accordingly for it. So I would take these 24,000 hours that we have by department and set a dollar value to it. And then you would have to increase our revenue in order to budget for it, because we're saying that we're going to budget to pay it out if employees start taking all of their sick leave. So I just want to make
Okay,
sure that
now
our
here's
books
the-
are correct.
I understand this is, I don't know where this is coming from, but what this scenario that happened, happens once every now and then. It's not gonna affect our 8 hours of overtime, it's not gonna, or 8 hours of straight time. It's not gonna affect our budget, it better not affect our budget that much.
Right, for one
We've got a lot
employee.
bigger budget than that.
Sure, for one employee.
We're
Okay.
talking about isolated instances. not
Yes.
Talking about
And
something
it's
that
like it's
happens
not
every
gonna
week.
break the county.
If you put it in your policy, it might.
Right.
And then here we go. This, back to the supervisors, back to the elected official. If you want to let it happen, let it happen.
Then you have to be very careful how you word it in that policy.
Yeah. 'Cause if you took an average salary of 20,000 across the county, that's $480,000.
Well,
Oh,
what's
yeah,
that?
just at our minimum $30,000, this is $500,000 on the 24,000 hours that we have accrued.
That's the potential, quote, liability that's sitting.
Okay, we don't have that many people that are actually good employees. We got, everybody's looking to see what they can do to take advantage of the county.
You're gonna
Is that-
have
is
all
that
these
what's happening?
employees taken off.
Judge, you have to look at it the reverse way as well. I mean, we have an employee that's arguing because he got credited, sick leave, whereas, you know, people in my office, they would never argue with me about not getting paid for 4 hours of sick leave.
Because they haven't got that much sick leave yet.
Some of them do.
Okay, well, I can tell you one thing, the people that's got 480 hours of sick leave built up, they're probably not real concerned about taking 8 hours.
No, this employee that Paul's referring to has 400 sick leave hours.
Okay,
So what you're saying, so that's total, that's the example.
that's what I'm saying. What, 8 hours on 400? It drops him down to 392, and in 3 weeks, 3 pay periods, he's made it up. I mean, we're not talking about a whole bunch. Y'all are talking about employees that are gonna be looking at the policy manual to see what they can get away with.
No, that's not what I meant by that at all. I just meant you just have to be very careful how you word it. Because if you word it a certain way, it's gonna mandate that the sick leave be paid out for every department. I mean, my office works 10-hour days as well. So each employee has their day off during the week. So if I have an employee that's sick on Monday and works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then, comes in on Friday, they can still be paid the 40 hours plus the 10 hours, depending on how you word it. So we're gonna be paying them 50 hours out of the regular pay, correct?
That's correct.
Instead of overtime.
Did they work 40 hours?
Yes, by coming.
And they had 10 hours sick leave?
Right,
That's
What's wrong with that?
but you're gonna be going
Okay, like I said, hopefully our budget's not that tight. I mean, I know it's tight.
Very
It's
tight.
tighter this year, but I don't think 8 hours, how often has this happened? When's the last time you came in on a Saturday?
When we did the collection deal.
Okay,
Okay, then
That's
it would
the deal.
more so happen like in my office or the sheriff's office where, we're open 5 days a week, but employees work the 10-hour days. So, that in turn could give them that, just be very careful how you word it.
well, I have no problem. If somebody wants to bill their sick leave, I have no problem with that, but this person wanted, to get paid for it.
I think if we call them in, they should be paid for it, no matter what.
But if it
Not
happens
necessarily
so
overtime.
rarely, do we need to change the policy?
Well,
mean,
that
Well,
hasn't happened.
I think the thing is, right now, is the policy's not really clear.
But it don't say in the policy that they don't get paid either, if we call them in.
Because there's no right or wrong on sick leave. It's basically however you guys decide to pay it, that's your right answer.
And if we want to pay it, I think it should be left up to us.
Well, if you try to pay it now, does it get stopped by Jalen?
They get regular time over,
My deal, I'm like, if the employee wants it and the supervisor agrees with it, if the employee doesn't want it, wants to build up their sick leave, let them build it up. I say employer, elected official, or supervisor, or department head.
So Sheriff Stewart, in your department, for example, they have 12-hour shifts? So if you had an employee that worked Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for 36 hours and say half a day Thursday, and then went home sick half a day Thursday and called in sick on Friday, and then you called them in to come work in on Saturday and Sunday, you would be okay with paying them the 12 hours sick leave plus the additional 12 hours that
Yes.
they came into work?
The reason I'm saying that is because had he not taken off sick and I needed to call him in, he'd have been getting paid 12 hours time and a half.
Yep, that's the way I look at
That's
it
the way
too.
it would work. What
For
I, listening
overtime
to
that you have
y'all,
budgeted?
every one of us submits timesheets. They are approved by somebody.
Yes.
However that timesheet comes in, that's how it ought to be paid. And y'all determine which way, but nobody should change that timesheet except the employee. And the employee and their supervisor should have agreed to any change in time, flexing it, whatever, before it ever comes into the office to be paid. Once it's
Yes.
received there, then however it's on paper, that's the way it should be paid.
And I don't think there's an argument there. I think it comes in when we
If it's done
address
that
it with
way,
the
it's
elected.
whatever way, if they want to flex, we flex it at the deal. If they don't, we sending it in with the full sick leave, and it gets paid however it sits. Now, because I don't know who flexed the one Paul's talking about, because that's what they did. If the employee chose it, that's the employee's choice. But the one that Commissioner Fowler is talking about, to me, if that's the way it was submitted, that's the way it should have been paid.
And I agree with that.
Yep.
And I think the bottom line is that needs to be clarified in the policy so that everybody knows what the rules of the game are, so to speak, what the expectation.
It is. It says in the policy that once a timesheet is turned in, that's the way it be paid unless the employee or the supervisor changes.
And that's what Christina mentioned, that when it needs to be changed, she contacts the employee and the supervisor and gets a revised timesheet.
It didn't happen this time.
Well, I can't speak to
You had a prior discussion with your previous employer on that. That's why it didn't happen there, because we were in the agreement. So when I talked to you last time, you wrote overtime, and I said, it can't be overtime, it's gonna be straight time, because he took. sick
Yes,
leave.
I understand
To
that,
make
the
us
overtime.
To make us full-time, we're gonna save the sick leave. You were okay with that? That was probably, don't quote me, maybe.
Was it the same employee or different employee?
Different.
Huh?
I don't think it was the same employee, I think it was a different
Because another employee may not have had enough sick leave and wanted to save it. Like I said, this guy had 400 hours of sick leave,
He got 471.
471 hours of sick leave, and 2 more pay periods. He's gonna be at 480, so he's gonna start losing sick leave. So,
I just don't understand that us being okay with the county incurring an expense that's not necessary. That's my only concern.
okay, look at the employee that's called in Saturday morning. I don't have, he's coming in and working when it's not necessary.
Judge, I can't speak to that because they're gonna get paid if they come in. If they don't, they don't get
They're not
paid.
getting paid. This employee, in 3 pay periods, will be going back over his deal. He's losing 8 hours of pay. He's working 8 hours.
That is not required by the county to pay him, is what I'm saying.
That's what, and why should he come in? That's what let's give him some
Let's
incentive to come
budget for
in.
sick leave to be a payable in the budget so that we have enough revenue.
We
to
can
do
control
that.
the sick leave just like we control the vacation time. You know, we're talking about, there's 2 different things. Like I said, we can take both of them away and not have sick leave, not have vacation time, and we will not get in trouble.
What if all these employees got vacation? Do we have that money budgeted? How many hours of vacation does the county have?
But we need a policy.
That's in your salaries and benefits.
Yes,
line
that's in
item.
your salaries and your benefits line item. So an employee who is going to take a week vacation, those 40 hours are already budgeted in your total budget for the year.
How will you change the budget to, okay, if Paul's crew would have worked 40 hours that day, that week, and came in, they'd all got time and a half. Correct?
That's correct. If he knows that, then he would
Okay.
budget for overtime, which he has a line item for
So
overtime.
actually, we could have saved money because this guy's only gonna get straight time.
He did get straight time and
So
he did
there,
save money.
that would be a different in the budget there. Instead of getting time and a half, he's getting straight time, so we're saving.
Absolutely.
whatever that
because
is.
We did not allow him to get paid in excess of his 40 hours when not needed. So yes, we saved the county 8 hours of pay.
So why are we signing these timesheets when we turn them in if they're not gonna be paid the way we
Exactly.
turn them in?
Because it's our responsibility to ensure that the timesheets are correct in terms of how the money is budgeted.
That's probably based upon our policy.
Correct.
And so if that's the case, I say probably because I can't remember exactly, but if that's the case, and then we need to change the policy if we want to do it. They're following policy as they see it. Am I correct?
That is correct.
And if we want to, so we're back to having the committee that put together or that works with the policy or a group to look at it, and if we're gonna change it, we need to change it. Whatever we do, we need to follow the policy. If the policy says that we're taking the right approach now, then that's what it is. We need to change it to what we think is the proper approach.
But there's nothing in the policy that says they take it away,
Okay?
is what I'm saying.
All right?
Okay, let me ask on vacation. If, say instead of that guy being off on sick leave, he was on vacation, would he have gotten paid for?
Absolutely, because we are required to pay out vacation per our policy. Again, it goes back to making sure that we're following our policy.
It's our policy.
Correct. We want employees.
And it's our policy to when the supervisor signs the timesheet, that we pay what he says, correct?
The policy is for us to verify that the timesheet is correct, and if it's not, we go back to the department head or elected official to make the corrections. We want employees to use their vacation to get it off of our accrual, off of our books, so that we don't have to pay it out at,
We're only gonna pay 40 hours.
I know, but whether it's 40 hours, 8 hours, or 1 hour, it would still benefit the county for an employee to use their vacation hours so that we don't have that expense when an employee leaves the county. We're fortunate that we don't have it in
40
policy
hours?
that we have to pay out sick leave.
There's been a lot more than 40 hours paid out over the years in Wilson County. There's been hundreds of hours paid
Right,
out.
but what we're saying then is that we're okay with paying out sick leave without an employee leaving the county. That's what we're saying.
No, we're not paying sick leave.
Absolutely, we are. If we're saying we're going to allow an employee to use it no matter what, how many hours they've worked for their shift.
I'm only saying they should use sick leave when they're sick. That person was sick on Monday or whatever day it was, and then he worked Saturday. I'm saying that he should get paid for Saturday.
Okay.
That's my stand on the deal.
And all I'm asking for is to make sure that we have enough money budgeted in the budget to offset.
I'm saying that you're overreacting on that we don't have enough money budgeted
We
for
don't,
that.
Judge, it's just my job to make sure, to tell you
I
guys.
understand that.
And inform you. I'm not
I understand that,
overreacting. I'm
but
just
what-
making sure that we stick within our budget, because at the end of the day, it's the taxpayers that are paying for it. It's
I
not
understand
me.
that too. I answer the taxpayers a whole lot more than anybody else in this room. And here's the deal there, and I'm on the employee side here, it's, as far as a budget goes, that day was saved. I mean, even if he did get paid straight time, he was gonna have to come in and work that day
Right,
anyway.
we saved it on this one. What I'm saying is for the future budget, as long as we budget for it, then I'm okay with it. I just
I don't see why you have to change your budget. I'm gonna be honest with you, because that's just an overtime expense. It may come from a different, I don't know how it's paid out of a different line item or what, but it's just, it would have been overtime at time and a half if he'd have worked Monday.
on some, and that would have been budgeted. The department, Paul has overtime budgeted in his new budget. So if we would have paid time and a half, it would have gone against a budgeted
Okay,
line item.
and the overall budget though, if he worked time and a half, or if he worked straight time, it'd be cheaper if he worked straight time. It was already budgeted for overtime, even though it is overtime and he's not getting it.
Okay.
And it's budgeted also in his salary. If he's got 40 hours, he's gonna get paid that 40 hours.
At 40 hours, but not 48 hours.
Well, then that's overtime.
If he were to have worked overtime.
He was gonna work overtime whether he was sick leave or not, because he was having to come in on that Saturday.
What we do have to do, Judge, is we have to follow whatever the policy is.
Yes,
If we want to change it, then we have to change the policy.
and that's one thing that we've got into is gonna have to rewrite the policy manual. If we can take and clarify what we're talking about here. Okay, but I don't know if there's any action that we can take with this.
Well, if,
Well, you can vote on it and say you want the policy changed. And we can come back with language that changes.
Well, does the policy have to be changed?
Well,
What does it say you can't pay them?
I think
It
it
don't.
doesn't.
It's just everybody's interpretation of it. Everybody's got their own interpretation. So where does it say that you cannot pay that person for coming in and working Saturday and pay him for that sick leave?
It don't.
Where does it say you have to take that sick leave back and put it back in the bank?
it don't say that nowhere.
Does it say it anywhere in there?
No.
Then what we need to do
Yep.
is if we have to take action, let it be up to the elected official or department head to make that decision.
And it doesn't, you're correct, it doesn't say it in there, but there is statute that says that as the county auditor, I am able to enforce regulations that don't go against the law, basically. And
Well, then
so-
this didn't go against the law.
No, but I'm saying in my position, so that's why I informed Jalen and Christina that in my opinion, this is what's necessary to benefit the county. So when it's not in there, that's where I refer to statute to come in. I don't just make it up out of the air. So that's where the policy, I guess you could say, came from when I informed Christina.
Can we get Catherine to review the policy and give us an opinion on it?
Well, I mean, I think what you can see is the language is there, but people read different things into it.
And I don't know, we can't just make a motion and say, okay, let the elected official or the department head make, it has to be in the policy. We have to rewrite it, and we have to okay that to go into the policy. So,
And we need the right verbiage. We don't need
Yes.
to make it up here.
I think we're saying that once these timesheets are submitted and signed by either a commissioner or the supervisor, is that's the way they should be paid. Is
It
that
says that in here.
And I thought that's what the policy said.
It does say that. That's what's in the policy right now.
But
then that's how it should be. If the elected official said, this is what I want paid, it needs to be paid.
But then I think it's also fair to say the auditor has to do what, under the law, she believes.
Okay, where is, show us in the law, show us statute that it says we cannot pay that.
That we cannot pay what?
Pay that person for that 40 hours.
Well, it's not gonna specifically reference every type of policy.
No, but it'll say somewhere in there where it says that we can't do it.
No, it just says in a county with a population of less than 190,000, the county auditor may adopt and enforce regulations not inconsistent with the law.
Okay? Where's the regulation?
That was me deferring to.
What's that?
That was me recommending to payroll to not exceed the required amount of hours worked when not necessary.
Well, they was necessary, he was called out.
That's what this whole issue is about, is that when an employee is called out for a specific duty, he needs to be paid for it. Is that correct, Commissioner?
And if we have a policy or a regulation, it needs to be written.
I think that's the way it's been since I've been here. I think this is an unusual situation.
If we're gonna follow a regulation, we need to have it, and it needs to be brought and put in the policy manual, or wherever, whatever kind of policy we have to
I've been
follow.
here that they don't get overtime until later.
Well, and if this is as rare as everybody says.
No, it's gonna affect our budget.
I feel if we wouldn't have adjusted some timesheets that we've done in the past with their approval, it could have, but we adjusted it. They were able to save their sick, however you looked at it, whatever the case is, they knew they did, we adjusted it, it could have.
Okay, and I'm saying on that anything like that, if it's overtime, I mean, this guy was gonna work time and a half if he hadn't taken sick leave that week.
Actually, on that holiday day, he'd have been double time. He was called
So,
up.
I mean, actually, we saved a lot of money there.
So,
And like I said, this doesn't happen very often.
It
I don't see how it's gonna break the bank.
it doesn't, so I would just, because I have to ensure that that every department does not exceed their budget, I would just have to come to you to tell you, okay, you're at your breaking point because we don't have it budgeted, is what you're saying. We're going to allow the salaries.
Okay, there is no line item for that, for regular time. For anything, for him coming in.
It's in.
Okay, y'all are saying we paid him, if we paid him 6 hours. Okay, he was already budgeted 40 hours for that week.
Right, and that's why we paid him up to the 40 hours, because that's what's budgeted.
Okay, and if he'd have come in, okay, the only thing there is difference is if he'd have come in, or he did come in Saturday, that 6 hours he worked, it would have been overtime if he'd have worked. But we don't have a line item for that 6 hours.
Yes, we do. We have it in a budgeted overtime line item.
Well, a while ago, it wasn't used for overtime. It was
wasn't,
something else.
because he
So,
didn't physically work overtime, Judge, that's why.
okay, so he didn't physically, so it's part of his salary.
Correct.
We're not over. We're not over at all.
You would be over it all, though, had we not corrected it. We would have been over by 8 hours of sick leave.
By 8 hours of his sick leave,
Correct.
not county's, his.
His sick leave that the county would have to pay out in dollars, in real dollars, yes.
If he was sick. We don't pay. We don't, at the end, when when he retires and goes on or resigns and goes someplace else, we don't pay their sick leave out. All we pay is 40 hours of vacation, no matter what they've got built up in vacation or sick leave.
So,
I think it's best then if I just get an AG's opinion, and that way you guys, we can just go from there.
because if an employee takes a month of sick leave, let's say he's actually sick for a month, we're gonna pay him.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
because that money is budgeted, we're not paying him that sick leave plus hours worked.
Right.
Correct.
But
That's what
let's
the
say
benefit
that-
is there for.
An employee leaves, retires or quits and has all these hours of sick leave, that money is saved by the county.
Absolutely. So why would you, on the other side of the fence, why would you want to have the county have an additional expense by paying more than what's
I
necessary?
don't see where it's an additional expense. Because you have a total line item for total salary, not each individual. And at the end of the year, you're right, at the end of the year, unless you go over that budget dollar amount, you won't be over bankrupting. Because you have a total dollar amount for all employees, not just one employee. Each employee ain't broken out. You got salary, all employees in your
As far
budget.
as what was paid out, he was paid for how many hours that week? 40? 2 of it was sick leave, 6 of it was, 38 of it was working. Even though he came in and would have been getting overtime pay for that.
If
So-
you would have taken that day of sick, you are correct. If you would have taken Tuesday.
So we did not lose money on that. We came out ahead.
But we would have had an additional expense had we not changed it.
I think the way.
Okay, if he'd have actually worked, say, the whole 8 hours, we'd have paid him his salary. We would have paid him what is budgeted for him.
You did. You paid what was budgeted.
And that's what we'd have paid if he'd have got his sick leave.
No.
That's what would we have paid?
It would have been over, so you would have been what his salary, 2-week salary is 2 weeks, plus the 6 hours or 8 hours. of
That's
sick.
his sick hours, it's not the county's.
It is
but
the
you-
county's.
It is the county's, but you have to take those 8 hours, multiply it by his hourly rate, add that now to what he's gonna bring home normally, so his 2 weeks.
Who gets that money?
He does, but it's out of the salary line item, out of the department, so it's his 2-week salary that he gets for 8 hours across the board, 80 hours. Now, you're going to add the 8 hours of sick leave to that, so easy math, if he brings home $2,000 on his paycheck every time, times that by 26, he's $52,000 yearly salary, right? Well, now you get 2,000 plus his sick leave, 8 hours, so he's making over $2,000.
Okay, but
So
here
he's
we're
gonna
talking
add
about,
overtime.
that's overtime.
No.
You're getting into the overtime there.
That's straight time,
Okay,
out of time.
if he works an 80-hour time period and takes 2 days off for sick leave, what's he gonna get paid?
Same,
80
He's gonna get paid for 80 hours.
correct.
Okay, if he works 80 hours, takes 2 days off for sick leave, and works 8 hours overtime, what's he gonna get paid?
Was the overtime can't be in the same week that he.
Okay, then he works,
And that week,
72 hours. He physically works 72 hours.
Okay.
What's he gonna get paid?
Well, if he physically works 72 hours, that's it, and he's only gonna get 72 hours unless he took.
He had sick leave. He took 2 days off sick leave.
Okay, 8, then he'll get paid 80. Because he didn't work any additional hours.
And we got that budgeted.
Correct.
You are correct.
Okay, and he was sick. This is our sick leave. He was sick 2 days, and it's not costing us a penny more. Okay, we got a regular work week. We got 80 hours, and they're having to work 2 hours every day, so he ends up with 10 hours overtime. Overtime. What's he getting paid?
Straight time.
Well, did he take any leave time?
What? No, he's not taking nothing. He's coming in to working his butt off for 2 weeks. That's overtime. And that's gonna cost more. It's gonna be 10 hours at time and a half.
There's no budget for that. There's not budget for the additional overheating hours on your salary line item. It's two different things.
Oh, it's two different things, all right. This is gonna cost a little bit more to pay him overtime than it is to pay him 80 hours regular time.
But that is money we have budgeted, Judge,
We've got the salary budgeted too,
at straight 80 hours.
and that's what he got.
But that's not what he would have gotten. if
Had we
they
not
did
changed
the
it.
other way.
If we start doing what Paul wants to,
I understand where you are, but what I'm saying is if he just worked, never took off, and you're paying him overtime, and then say somebody you got work to pay sick leave, they're gonna get regular time.
Again,
I mean, only thing is it's not, there's not a line item for this 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever at regular time.
it's all gonna go into his salary line item.
It's what?
Department.
Yes.
It's all gonna go into that one
Yes.
salary line.
It's not gonna cost more money. They do not, unless he works overtime.
It is gonna cost extra because he's going over what he would have made in a 2-week period. So if we would have paid the gentleman sick leave, he would have.
Yes.
gotten, well, let's say it was six hours times.
Yeah.
say He makes $15 an hour, which is probably more. That's $90. So of course taxes. But anyways, around $90 on top of his 2-week paycheck. That is more money than what we budgeted.
But he was
That
sick.
is more than what's gonna be at the end of the year for his salary.
Yeah,
It's more money out of.
that wouldn't be considered overtime.
No, it's not.
We need a line item for that, because it's gonna happen again. If we keep like this, it's gonna happen again.
It would just be that all you would have to do is to increase your salary line item. So increase the budget so that you're able to.
I still don't know why you have to increase the budget, because you just paid him for 80 hours.
I'm saying in the future, not now. Right now, we have salaries already budgeted. In your new budget, if you.
You don't need it,
If you're
because
going to pay above.
you're not paying him if you're gonna do it like this.
No, like this, that is correct. But if you're going to pay beyond 2,080 hours, you need a budget for that.
We've got overtime. That's what
If
I
it's
can't get
not-
over. Y'all don't understand the overtime?
Sick doesn't
This is not
count as
over,
overtime.
what's that?
You can't do sick out of overtime. Sick is out of your.
Regular
Yeah.
salary line.
Right.
item.
But I'm talking about the actual expense, the actual check that you're writing. Okay, if it was overtime, you'd be writing that same check. I'm saying this just needs to go along with the overtime.
You can't code it to overtime because
It's
it's not
not.
overtime. It's not, so you can't code it to that line item.
Okay, but we have
If y'all
overtime
change the
budgeted for
policy
that.
saying do it that way?
What's that?
Could that be, would you make the change in the policy saying, just for this circumstance, then that be paid out of overtime? Would that solve your problem?
The-
That
the
8
pro-
hours
the-
of sick?
The
or-
problem with that is overtime, when entered into the system, is automatically calculated at time and a half, not straight time.
It's what?
It's calculated at time and a half, not straight time, when it's being entered.
I still don't tell, but we're getting by cheaper because we're not paying him the time and a half, we're paying him straight time. Because he was off.
Okay, so, let's say for.
But all we're getting is, like I said, we need some other kind of line item to cover that straight time.
Paul, do your employees work 8 hours or 10 hours?
8.
They work 8 hours, okay, so
8.
say, for instance, he worked the 40 hours, or worked the 38 hours, then we're gonna give him 8 hours of sick, and then he comes in and works another 10 hours. So you're gonna be paying him for 15 hours out of the regular salary line item instead of the 40. Say that happens, 3 or 4 times, then you're gonna be short on your budget at the end of the year for line.
I could be, I could be or could not.
That's the point, that's the only point I'm making.
But what about if the employee takes vacation throughout the year?
We have to pay that.
And it comes out of that line item on vacation? So that's gonna offset the time he.
Why do we have to pay vacation and don't have to pay sick leave?
Because that's how you have it written in the policy.
And it says
It's not
you pay
written
sick-
that we cannot pay them sick leave.
It does state that you don't pay sick leave when an employee leaves the county.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about paying them like for what happened here. Instead of paying them sick leave, we took it back away from them.
If the timesheet would have been paid like it was turned in, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation.
Correct.
And if we're verifying and signing off on these
And I don't know
timesheets, then I
where-
don't understand why they're not being paid that way.
Because it's my responsibility to make sure that they're
But has the
correct.
county ever been in trouble because of this?
We could be. I don't know. I can't speak
I'm not
for it
saying
to-
could,
to-
had we.
I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Is every timesheet turned in exactly correct? Those people actually worked those hours? Do y'all check that?
I check mine before I sign them and turn them in.
We're not,
No, I'm talking about is that, do you know that that employee was sitting in there working when that supervisor, yes or no?
No.
No, but they depend on the supervisor. Our policy
Yes,
says.
they're dependent on the supervisor, so do what the supervisor says.
Authority. Yeah.
But how can we legally call somebody into work and not pay them for it?
you can't. In my opinion.
Well, when, with the situation we're talking about, did we do that?
What's that?
Well, they adjusted it to his sick time.
Well, you know, sick time is a benefit in itself.
So are we paying sick time or are we not paying sick time?
When it's needed. When it's needed to make.
Well, why are we paying vacation time? They don't need vacation.
We do it because we compete with the workforce out in the rest of the
That
county.
sick
Same
leave
with
should
sick
be
leave,
part of
too.
that.
I'm sorry?
Okay, are we gonna make some kind of a
I want overtime for this plan now.
adjustment or something?
Exactly.
Well, why don't you, I mean, we can look at it, but I would say our policy as a general rule is very close to, I would say, 90% of the other county policies. in
But
the
it doesn't
state.
clarify exactly how this works.
And the way they did it is causing us a lot of problem with our employees. Because our employees see us calling them in and then they don't get paid for it. So they're not happy.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, and I'm not, no disrespect to you, but I want to clarify, they are getting paid for the time that they're coming into work. They
They're
are
not
getting,
getting paid for that other day that they're
for
coming.
the sick leave that they did not come to work, you are correct, but they
Why,
are
why did
getting
we,
paid.
did we adopt that policy? How did we get that?
What policy?
Of not paying that sick leave day? If they'd have taken vacation, they'd have got paid vacation, then they'd have got, that 6 hours would have been another 6 hours? What's the difference between vacation and
So
sick
what do we need
leave?
to do? Tell our people to take vacation time instead of sick time?
Yes.
Yes,
I wanna,
absolutely.
They get paid time and a half
Well,
if
I
they
still
take
don't think the
vacation?
timesheet should be changed after we turn them in.
They don't get time and a half.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, if they're being changed, I don't understand why we need to
What's the
verify them and
difference?
sign them and all of that.
Because of what me and Brenda discussed, like she said, she did discuss that with me and Jayla sent that email out and I followed through with it under payroll. So that's why that particular timesheet was changed, as well as the others discussed with the supervisor because of what was discussed. Vacation will be paid out, sick up to that 40, to me, they're 40. That's why it got changed.
Okay, my question is, what is the difference between vacation and sick leave
keep saying budget.
if it's the same thing? It's the same, like the Commissioner said, same budget.
In this instance is a pretty rare instance. I mean, we don't call people in that often. But when they come in and work, they want to get paid for it. And if we're paying sick time, we're either paying it or we aren't. Am I right?
That's what I
That's the way I
agree
look at it.
with.
That's what this whole.
I don't see how we could take vacation one way and take sick leave another way. It's all something that the county gives as a benefit.
And the only, it's because I'm just following what you have in policy and because the.
But it doesn't say anything about taking that 8 hours away from them
No,
for sick
I
leave.
was answering regarding your question regarding what's the difference with vacation. Because vacation, it states in there, we pay out when an employee leaves. So in order to
They
save.
pay out when they leave. I'm talking
Right.
about
So in order
this
to
particular
save-
incident.
Correct. So we want employees to use their vacation time while they're employed, so we don't have that added expense when an employee leaves.
So
Because,
you want them to lie,
So
you
are
want
you
them to lie
saying-
on their timesheet then.
Are you
no,
saying-
no, Commissioner, that is not what I'm saying.
Are you saying that vacation time belongs to the employee?
Yes.
And sick time belongs to the county?
Absolutely.
Where does that distinction come from? We give it all to them.
Yes.
We give them
giving them those
vacation, we
hours.
give them sick leave.
They take their vacation with them when they leave.
40 hours.
They can take 40 hours, and that 40 hours is not gonna, like I said, we've given out hundreds of hours in vacation time when people leave.
Before the policy was changed.
Yes,
And
I mean, literally hundreds of hours.
And when they leave and take that 40 hours, we can't hire a new employee until that 40 hours is expensed out, so that is already in the budget.
So,
We need to
okay,
make
what
clarification.
action do we need to, if we're gonna take any?
We need some kind of clarification in the
In the
rules.
manual.
Evidently, we're, got different interpretations of the policy.
Do we want to change the policy?
Let's not change it, we need to clarify it. Because we've got, I mean, it could have paid out the other way, and nobody, it would have been,
Nobody would have said a word.
no.
Yeah, if they'd turned it in as vacation time.
No, they'd have turned it into sick leave. There's nothing saying that they have to take their sick leave back. Where does it say, if they work 40 hours, you have to take the sick leave back from them? It doesn't say that.
And it says here that we will pay. If an employee,
But it does say that we are responsible for ensuring that we stay within salaries that are budgeted in your salaries line item. And so,
And this would have been right in that budgeted line
you know,
item.
you would have had 48 hours of salary paid on a budget of 40.
Why can't that 8 hours be considered overtime?
Because it was not physically worked overtime and cannot be paid at time and a half, therefore it has.
Where does it say that?
They're gonna pay them however they want to.
That's federal law.
That's
Okay.
federal law.
I want to, because we could go above and beyond, we can't go below?
but budget-wise, why can't they come out of that line item?
Yeah.
Because when overtime is entered, it's entered at time and a half. You can't enter straight time into an overtime line item when it's paid at time and a half. When it's budgeted at time and a half. That's what your overtime is budgeted for.
So we could have just paid them at overtime and we'd have had it in the budget and it'd have been okay.
Yes, if he had worked overtime, but he didn't.
Well, we could, no, wait, no, now, you can say what you want to. We could have paid him overtime for that. We could have paid him time and a half. And I guarantee you, the feds aren't gonna come down here and say, y'all shouldn't have done that. We can do over and above, we just can't do below.
No, Judge, you can't pay overtime when they haven't.
I want somebody to get somebody down here and tell me that we can't pay somebody overtime, time and a half, like that. We can pay above, but we can't pay below.
I don't understand why we're turning in timesheets if it's gonna get paid however somebody else wants to
Yeah.
pay it.
It's not how we want to pay it, Commissioner, it's what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, but
Well,
you tell
okay,
these
to me, the right
employees
thing
that
to
we're
do-
calling in and getting them to come in and work, and then they look at their check and they're like, well, how come I didn't get paid for the day I came in and worked? Oh, well, they took it out of your sick time. Well, am I getting sick leave or am I not getting sick leave?
Where this could become a budgeting issue, now that I'm sitting here thinking about this, is in the instance where we have the corrections officers that have been shorthanded in the past, and they work a lot of overtime, and that's not something that they wanna do, they have to do to keep the jail running. If they take 2 days of sick off, but they're working all of this additional overtime, they could have taken 2 days off. They're working their normal 84 hours, but then we're also gonna pay them those 2 days of sick leave on top of that. You would blow the budget on corrections officer's side if you looked at it that way.
I can see that,
I can too.
But that's not what
but
we're,
this
that's
is,
not what
this
we're
is,
talking about.
this is,
But
different deal. This is not gonna
We're
affect,
talking about a
if that's gonna be the
highly
case,
isolated
doing
incident.
it, and they turn their timesheets in that way, then it would essentially be the same thing.
so they get sick leave taken back away from them?
They do right now.
Well, it's really not taken away. It stays in their
Right.
bank and they're
Right.
still,
No.
they're still earning.
And
sick
except for the
leave on top.
scenario I said about the guy that has 480 hours
Right.
already.
Yeah, but if you're maxed out, you're maxed out. And that would be a little bit different from that perspective, but for anybody that's.
Or if you got 400 hours and say, well, I think I've got enough, I'd like to get paid for it.
Maybe we need a special meeting to deal with this.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay? Then let's,
I guess
where we can move on, then we'll, as far as the action we're gonna take, we'll have a special commissioners court meeting to deal with the personnel policy manual.
I think that makes sense.
Okay?
We're kind of going in circles here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so as far as,
I mean, we're
Action.
gonna have one pretty soon.
as soon as y'all wanna get together, we gotta have 72 hours to post.
Well, I think we need time for people to gather whatever information and do whatever reviews from either the county attorney and the auditor or both.
We could do it like next Monday, maybe.
Okay, that's Monday.
Next Monday, y'all can do it. I won't be here, so y'all will miss a whole lot of the conversation.
Well, then we could do it Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
But I'm just saying that we need to allow some time to look into this.
I'll have to
so that-
look to see if I don't have court on Tuesday.
Well, we don't have to
I
call,
don't have my phone with me. I don't bring it up here.
we don't have to call that today, but we could,
Okay.
I mean, you
So
can
we'll
schedule court.
look and we'll get together when we all can be here and set a commissioners court meeting for the purpose of approaching the personnel policy manual.
We need to make that in a motion, Catherine.
Yes, I think that'd be a good idea.
What's that?
I asked her if we needed to make a motion to that effect.
I think
Commissioner
that'd be a
Martin,
good
if you're going to
idea.
include that, I think that you're giving her permission to request something from the Attorney General's office, and the same thing.
No,
If she doesn't have that permission, she can do it on her own.
No, Catherine says it'd be best if we don't contact the Attorney General.
That's something else that we can talk about.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't have that
They
answer in
will
a
not
week anyway,
decide
so.
fact questions, they will only decide questions if the law says they have to do something.
They will give their opinion of how they would prosecute that case,
Correct.
or how they would handle it. Okay, do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Motion by Commissioner Martin to,
I'll make a motion to have a special commissioners court meeting to discuss the personnel and policy manual.
Second it.
second by Commissioner Fowle, motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Fowle, that we have a special commissioners court meeting to approach the personnel policy manual. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving right along. Nikki, it's your turn. Richard L. Jackson, agenda item number 7, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, Nikki Storr, Library Director, request permission to develop the courtyard land at Annex 3 into a outdoor learning space.
I'll give you a little bit of history because with us back in 2016, I came before the court to ask for a square part of the courtyard as an Annex 3 that's outside the library's back door. We were going out for a grant at that time for a Santikos naming grant. We didn't get it, but now I would like to proceed and I would like to take that same amount of property to go all the way down to the flagpoles at the district court's office. We would like to develop that land as an outdoor classroom. Instead of going out for one large grant, my outreach librarian, Nikki Myrick, has found several small grants that we could go out for that would develop that property into an outdoor learning. We are hoping to be able to take the story times because of COVID and people are nervous with where the story room is at. It's close quarters and the children can't social distance. If we could take them outside into some kind of developed area, it would be better for the library. So, for example, the first one that we want to go out for from there, I think I sent you guys an email that had all the other grants that I was looking to try for. The big one would be sun sails to go from the library to the pavilion. That one would require us to make contact with a certified dermatologist, which we found. They've even put us in touch with their reps for sunscreen, that we could give the children sunscreen. And we also want to develop a Girl Scout badge for the Girl Scouts to come and visit the Southborough area. We would make sure that all of the property is built with pressured, sun-treated wood for the decking. So we wouldn't look for too much of a maintenance. I believe the original plan also encased the area with some type of fencing, so that way we could control the sound to the elections office, and we could also control the entrance into the court, into our courtyard from the district clerk's office. The flyer that I left you is like a newsletter that we've put together for the dermatologist in order to connect her with her written support letter and their sales reps for the sunscreen process. The one activity that just comes to mind real quickly is we want to go out, be able to the summer, go out to the courtyard, and the kids you could actually roast a hot dog in a noodle pan. And when you do that, the skin of the hot dog represents the exposure that you have on your skin. So as the hot dog bubbles, turns different colors, so does your skin. So those are just some of the list is really long of what we could do with that area, but I have to go on record and ask for that property, because I don't think the property really belongs to the library since it's the annex.
What size property are we talking about? 50 by 50, 30 by 30?
Pretty good area.
Bigger
It's a
than that.
pretty good area. I think it's about 10,000 square feet. We're talking all
So
the way
the
to
whole-
grassy, no, the grassy area that's from the library up to the pavilion and the sidewalk, where the people normally.
The area that you
park,
talked about before.
And extended down on the library side of the pavilion. It's grass right now. No one parks on our side. I do have to admit, I have not checked with Olga to see if that affects their loading and unloading of the machines. I don't think so. You use the ramp part that's on the other side of the pavilion.
The only thing we need to get with Kevin, do we use those sliding doors for that, the storage area? Do they drive in there to get in there?
The library has a whole bunch of shelving that's right in front of those doors. We are blocking those doors.
The area they're talking about is very seldom used or walked on. I think it's a good idea.
Kind of, the library, as you know,
There should be a picture.
you got
There's a picture
On that,
right
on
here.
that second page, you can see,
over here like this, and then the pavilion sets back in here.
Here's a picture of what she's talking about right here.
This area, I think, is this area.
See, you got these sliding doors in the, do we get,
The sidewalks would still stay in place, so if we needed them for
Does
elections.
they go in there
would
from
be
that side?
bothered. All
When
gates
does-
would be on the grassy area that's in there.
There's sliding doors on all sides.
Yeah, there's sliding doors all around it.
all the access is on the other side, because that's where the gravel driveway is.
The side of the library that the sliding doors are, we're blocking them with oodles and oodles of metal shelving.
There's a potential to capture all these little projects into one big grant. Green Space Alliance has some grants, the AT&T Mobile has some community grants as well. So there's a whole bunch of funding options that would be eligible for this type of activity.
You said a while ago on the Home Depot deal, you said that it was a loan
It's a $5,000 gift
card,
card.
not a loan.
No loan. I do not approve of matching grants. I don't go out for anything except for the straight grants.
I just want to make sure you said it was a loan.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It would be for a gift card And that one is an outreach kind of impact, community impact, so we would have to connect with someone willing to help us build the stage, build the benches, so a Boy Scout, 4-H.
Have you looked into any of the cost of the materials yet or not?
I did, I only looked for pressure treated.
My question is, what would the difference be between the pressure treated and this new stuff that's out that's,
That I didn't look.
that
I
doesn't
was-
rot? They're using this,
It's a lot.
that composite is a lot more?
Well, and I think right now it may be 3 to 4 times as much as,
I
Treated.
didn't know, I figured it would be more, but it-
actually, I bought some lumber the other day at McCoy's. Actually, the treated was cheaper than the 2x4 pine. So I bought treated to do some form work, but
I priced out, we found a kids' garden group that that gave us directions to build a 10x10 stage that was low off the ground. And I printed out they had everything, your nuts, your bolts, your screws, and your miter saw. It was like $500 just for the regular decking, pressure-treated decking boards.
I would still stain and seal that after it's
Yes.
weathered in a little bit after about 6 months.
But that was just one option, but I'm no means a construction person.
I assume this is an action item, Judge? It says to give permission. He's requesting permission. Is it an action item?
That is.
Then I make a motion that we allow Nikki Storr, the library director, to go forward toward developing the courtyard land at Annex 3 into an outdoor living space.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Perdola. And also encompass what this motto was talking about a while ago.
Yes.
That we allow this store to go out for the development of the courtyard land at Annex 3 into an outdoor learning space. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The last thing that I left is that the Wilson County Education Foundation, when I first asked for this space, did proceed with a brick campaign to lay a brick path from our community exit door to the stage. So they ordered their first set of bricks, but if you would like to order a set of bricks for yourself, they want to do one more round of campaigns to get more bricks to lay to the stage. So I left that for you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I use the brick that Commissioner File threw at me the other day?
It's cracked.
Did he have your name on it?
It must have.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 8, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and take action on extending the local disaster declaration. Okay, last Thursday, I did a local disaster declaration on the extent of what it's happened to Wilson County, what it's costing Wilson County on as far as, I don't know, not border control, because we're not a border county, but dealing with illegal immigrants passing through Wilson County. We had no occurrences with them until a week before last, and the sheriff has had 2 in just a short period of time. And this is one of those deals, and I said that if it ever happened in Wilson County, then we would do a disaster declaration, and it might give us an opportunity for grant funds to help the sheriff's office. So that's a whole lot of reason we're doing this. And for the, let's see, extent of the declaration. If y'all would like it, y'all can read this. My voice ain't to where I don't think I can read the whole thing unless somebody wants to read it. Okay. This declaration shall take effect immediately from and after its issuance and upon approval by the Wilson County Commissioners Court shall continue in effect until terminated by the county judge or the Wilson County Commissioners Court. Pursuant to this declaration, additional directives may be issued by the county judge. at any time deemed necessary. So this kind of extends it indefinitely. Unless y'all want to put a certain time on it, then we'd have to change the declaration. If not, we can see how it goes, and then at a certain time, we can discontinue it.
I'll make a motion that we approve this declaration, Judge, to extend it.
Motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Berdola, that we extend the executive order, the continuing disaster declaration. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Today is the 25th. Okay, moving to agenda item number 9, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and take action on adopting the tax abatement policy for Wilson County, and we cannot do that without a public hearing. So, we need to set a public hearing, and I think next Commissioners Court meeting would be a good time for that. And it'll give, Mr. Caldwell a little bit of time to critique what he's written for us. So, do we need to take any kind of action or just set it for a public hearing on next?
We'll just set it for a public hearing.
Okay. So, then, so much for that agenda item. We will be set for a public hearing on November the 8th. Okay, agenda item number 10. Richard L. Jackson County Judge, 10A, presentation and discussion of online auctions for tax foreclosure sales. Tax sales by Jeff Garcia, Lineberger Law Firm.
Morning, Judge.
You finally got to do something, huh, Jeff? Okay, I've got that. But
You can go back and talk about overtime.
If you'd like us to.
got one.
All right, good morning, Judge and Commissioners and staff. I'm here before you, as I always do before I get into the materials I presented. I always kind of go back and give a background about how we got to this point. So we're working on already, it's been about, 2 years I would take on, when Ms. Barnett approached me, and the whole concept of having tax foreclosures was kind of just getting started in Texas. And so at that time, what I told Ms. Barnett was that, it's a really new concept at that time. We had just gone out and purchased this real auction software to be able to do it for our clients. And I said, you know what, let's put it on pause right now and see how it works out in some of our program pilot counties that we did, which was Nueces and Victoria County. And let's see how it plays out, get all the kinks out of it, and then when the time's appropriate, bring it to Wilson County to see if the Commissioner's Court will approve it. And that's where we're at right now. So, as you know, to get to a tax foreclosure, it involves a legal process. We have to file a lawsuit on the property for the back taxes. We go to district court, and at some point, if there's still back taxes, the district judge will give us the blessing to be able to sell that property to pay off those taxes. And so here in Wilson County, we have tax sales on a quarterly basis, but where we conduct these tax sales is right out here in the courthouse steps, okay, underneath the tree right here in the picnic table. We conduct those on the first Tuesdays of every month. That's what we're required to do. And we cannot conduct that tax sale until we publish for 3 consecutive weeks in a newspaper the actual tax sale notice. None of that would change as far as the publication of the legal notice that goes in the newspaper. Well, the only thing that would change is conducting that tax sale. Instead of it being outside, could possibly do it online. And so that's where we're at right now. And so in that presentation material, I guess we'll get started on that. The first slide that's on it is, as you know, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We had to go out, we felt like there was some software provider out there in the country that already is doing online sales. So what we did is we went out in the entire country and we started vetting multiple companies as far as their software, being able to use their platform for online sales, and we did that. We selected one of the companies that was Real Auction, and we basically contracted with them to be able to particularize this to actual online tax sales for the state of Texas. Next slide, it's the most important to note. This would not be any additional cost to the county. This is all paid by the potential buyer at the tax sale. That's where the fee comes out of. So again, this is no cost to the county. Next slide, and more importantly, what this will do is expand your market. Right now, we currently have, I would say at every tax sale that we conduct on a quarterly basis, we have around 20 to 30 buyers that show up on a regular basis to try to purchase tax sale properties. And what we're trying to do here is we want to expand that market, right? Not only to the local folks, but we want to try to expand it to anybody else that may want to bid on these properties. Because in turn, once you do that, you may be, increasing the bids that are submitted on these properties. If those bids are quite large and they actually pay off all the taxes and costs and there's still some left over, that gets turned over to the district court as excess proceeds. Now, for whatever reason, if the property owners who lost the property never petitioned the district court for that money, after 2 years, that money is distributed back to the taxing entities on a prorated basis. So, that's what we mean by expanding your market on that. The next slide, greater transparency and equity. What this slide is talking about is, for those few 20 tax sale purchases that come to your tax sales, one of the areas that I see coming up is what normally would happen if a property for whatever reason is marketable and not that desirable, there may not be that much interest there. What they may say is, well, I'm not going to bid right now on that property. I'm just going to wait for it to get struck off. And then instead of paying the full amount of bid, a year later, they'll submit a bid for, like, say, $500. And you've seen this come across Commissioner's Court before. So what we're trying to say here is, perhaps doing it online would do greater transparency. There's no risk of the bidders collaborating and trying to collude to bring the bid price down. Easy implementation, because this is our service, just like we do right now, we handle everything for the tax sales. We will continue to handle everything online, from the postings to creating the documents, and everything will be controlled by Lombard, just like it is right now. We will do the initial trainings. If Ms. Barnett wants to have trainings for the public as far as being able to register online and set up your account, we certainly can do that for the public and conduct that all at no cost. Again, the next slide, website reviewed and approved. Everything that is done online sales would be overseen by myself and the law firm, and so you don't have to worry about there being any kinds of websites out there or information being posted that isn't county approved. And if you want to see an example of what a website would look like, Atascosa has already approved of online sales, and so that's really the next couple of pages of what you see is what it would look like. So instead of it being Atascosa County, we basically take that out and put Wilson County there. That's how somebody who's interested in tax sales would look when they went to the actual public webpage. On there, it would have frequently asked questions. All the information on upcoming tax sales would be there. All the information about how they need to register to do online sales would be there. All that, again, would be controlled by our law firm. And you can see the next few pages, that is what online sales would look like. The very next slide, after you pass through the pages about concerning the sample online website, is a slide about integrated litigation system. Now, this is really the key difference between what we're offering and perhaps what another vendor out there may offer. Since we already do the litigation on behalf of the county, all of the information literally would be passed from our litigation software system over into the tax online sales system. So there is no having to reach out to a fourth party, fifth party to be able to get that information. Everything is integrated. And like I said, it all would be controlled by the Line Barber Law Firm. Next slide, call center. If you had a potential buyer who had a question on a property, we are also part of the fee. Includes having a full-time call center where folks can call and get their questions answered. Also, there'd be information about a property that they have sold. All of that will be provided through the call center. The next slide, accounting and auditing. This is another real important thing here. What we're proposing in our services is that all of the auditing, whether accepting of the money from the bidders, would all be controlled through a real auction and our services. There would not be a need to have to go to, for example, the treasurer's office to be able to receive the money for the tax sales. And then let's just say if one of the purchasers decided not to go forward on a sale, having to refund that money. Again, we would do all of that for the county and have strict control auditing measures in place for that. And right now, just as Debbie Bryan as the district clerk does all that for us right now. So when somebody goes and buys a property at a tax sale, they go and pay Debbie, and then she cuts checks to the appropriate entities depending on that. So she's been doing that for us. We appreciate that, but times are getting tough and more people are getting more things they have to do. So this is one way of alleviating work on your county staff. Proven and tested, Real Auction has already sold more than 1 million foreclosure properties on its platform, and we are looking to put this in place with Wilson County. With that said, the second part of today's agenda item is what we consider a resolution that would approve of this. That resolution is basically laying out all of the game rules for online auctions. And per the tax code, if the Commissioners Court were to approve of the online sales today, then that resolution, if it's adopted, would have to be filed in the deed records of the county, and it would have to be there for at least 90 days before we can conduct our first online auction. So we're looking at roughly the beginning of next year when, if you were so to approve of online auctions for the first online sale to be conducted here in Wilson County. Again, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, but Ms. Barnett and myself wanted to bring this information before you to see if we're at that point to start conducting online sales. One of the examples of why I thought it was the right time to bring this before Commissioners Court is we currently have a subdivision that's outside of Lavernia, the Quail Run properties, which is the old Lakeview property subdivision. We have roughly 50 property lots that need to go up for sale, and it involves also a tax lien lender. And so if we were to sell those individually here at a tax sale outside, just like we've been doing, it would be quite a task to do. And so we felt that perhaps that would be the first great example of using the online basis to see if we can get outside folks to start bidding on these properties and try to reduce the amount that actually gets struck off to the county and in the very end generate more revenue for the county. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
So is this in addition to or replacement of the actual on-site auctions?
This would be a replacement.
Replacement, oh, replacement, okay.
And given with, as we recently learned with the pandemic, we just don't know what's coming up down the road, right? If it's online, everybody has access to it. Not only that, maybe for the working man and woman who can't leave work, right? They wanted to set up their parameters before the tax sale and bid on a property that they were looking at. They could do this online and bid on it before the tax sale occurred and, participate in the tax sale without having to actually. So again, there's a lot of benefits to doing that online, but we feel that the time is appropriate to bring it forward.
So this takes this auction national.
It does, it's worldwide. So one of the questions back 2 years ago was, well, what if we start having folks from outside
real
the
often,
world,
but
start bidding on properties in Wilson County? The answer to that is the data hasn't shown that. So in all the other counties in which we've already been doing this, it's been the local people who've bidding on it. We can see that in the data when they register. It hasn't been folks, maybe one or two from California, but otherwise it's been all local. It's just more participation on those that are perhaps, they can't get out of work, right? But they still want to participate in tax sales, right? So that's what we see.
Is there a feeling that the amount of income has risen as a result of this?
Most definitely, yes. It's taken away a lot of the struck-off property scenarios where, you know, you may have let's say the 10 guys that show up to want to bid on a property, they say, well, we really don't want to pay the back taxes on that. Let's just let it go struck off to the county, right? And then 2 months down the road, they offer a bid for 500. It's kind of done away with that because once you put it online, you have a lot more folks out there who are wanting to buy them for the full amount, and so we don't have those scenarios anymore.
Okay, hang on just a second. You got your presentation done? We're gonna go to 10B, discuss and possible action to adopt a resolution to allow online auctions for tax foreclosure sales, tax resales, and to adopt rules governing online auctions. You wanna read the resolution?
You want me to read it? I'll read it.
Don't make him read it.
I'll read it. If it needs to be read, I'll read it, Judge.
Okay.
Oh, I wasn't talking about you.
So this is
That's
a
why I gave it back
resolution
to
to
him.
allow online auctions for tax foreclosure sales, tax resales, and to adopt rules governing online auctions. Whereas the Texas Property Tax Code hereinafter TPCT, section 34.01, A-1, and 34.05D, allow the Commissioners Court of a county to authorize the online auction of tax foreclosure sales and tax resales and to adopt rules governing those online auctions, and such rules taking effect on the 90th day after the date the rules are published in the real property records of the county. And whereas it is in the public interest and in the interest of the officer conducting the sale to allow for the online auction of tax foreclosure sales and resales and to adopt rules governing such online auctions to efficiently sell properties to persons or entities who will pay taxes, penalties, interest, and costs associated with the property so that such monies will be paid and distributed to those legally entitled to receive it and to ensure those amounts are paid in the future. And therefore, be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of Wilson County, Texas does hereby authorize the online auction for tax foreclosure sales and resales, and does hereby adopt the following rules governing online auctions for tax foreclosure sales and tax resales. Moving on, the rules governing online auctions for tax foreclosure sales and tax resales in accordance with section 34.01 and 34.05 of the Texas Property Tax Code. The following rules are adopted by Commissioners Court of Wilson County, Texas for the implementation of tax foreclosure sales and tax resales using online auctions for bidding and sale. Number one, all online tax sales and resales should comply with these rules and the rules and the procedures outlined in Chapter 34 of the Texas Property Tax Code. Number two, tax foreclosure and tax resale property may be sold at public auction using online bidding. Such properties may be sold as provided for by the online auction service provider and in accordance with Chapter 34 of the Texas Property Tax Code. Number three, the online service provider is hereby authorized to administer the online sale on behalf of the officer charged with conducting the sale. Number four, in accordance with Section 34.01 of the Property Tax Code, a sale of the real property conducted by means of public auction using online bidding may begin at any time and must be concluded by 4 p.m. on the first Tuesday of the month, or if the first Tuesday of the month occurs on January 1st or July 1st at 4 p.m. on the first Wednesday of the month. The officer charged with conducting the sale shall have the authority to set out the start and ending time of each sale to facilitate an orderly auction. Number five, to be eligible to bid at a sale or resale, a person must register as a bidder on the online bidding platform where the bidding and sale will take place and otherwise comply with the rules and guidelines established by the officer charged with conducting the sale and the online service provider. Number six, prior to placing a bid in an online auction, a deposit is required in the form of a counter deposit via cash, certified funds, wire transfer, or ACH deposit in the amount equal to 5% of the total bid amount for all properties for which the bidder intends to bid for the auction. A bidder will not be able to participate in an auction until funds have been verified and added to the bidder's available balance. The remaining balance of the winning bid must be received within 24 hours of the close of the auction. Unused deposits can be refunded to the bidder or can remain in the bidder's escrow account for future auctions at the discretion of the bidder. Failure to pay the balance of the winning bid or complete the purchase within 24 hours of the close of the online auction will result in a forfeited deposit. If the bidder fails to complete the purchase by the deadline, the deposit will be applied pursuant to 34.02 of the Texas Property Code or otherwise permitted by law. Number 8, online bidders may place bids of any amount higher than the minimum open bid or the current high bid in increments of $100 or as otherwise indicated for each property in the online bidding platform. Number 9, the minimum bid of the property to be sold under these rules shall include an additional online auction fee of $300 for costs and fees associated with the online auction, such amount to be assessed as an expense of foreclosure sale to be paid by the winning bidder. The online fee shall also apply to tax foreclosed properties that have been previously struck off and that may be offered for resale. Number 10, each successful bidder must provide payment in full for the amount of the successful bid priced through the online auction website or as directed by the officer conducting the sale, using over-the-counter wire transfer or ACH payment within 24 hours of the close of this online sale. Number 11, any property that is not paid in full by the successful bidder in the time allowed by these rules may be auctioned again at a later date. Number 12, all purchases will receive an ordinary type of sheriff's deed or tax resale deed that is without warranty, express or implied. All property sold in a tax foreclosure sale or resale are sold as is, where is, without warranty, to the highest bidder on a buyer beware basis. There are no representations made about the condition of the property, the mercantability of the title, or the existence of any claims or interest in the subject property. Number 13, all property purchased at an online sale may be subject to statutory right of redemption as set out in the Texas Property Tax Code. Number 14, the officer conducting the sale may remove properties from the online auction at any time. Number 15, all completed sales are final. This resolution was duly adopted by a vote of the Commissioners Court of Wilson County on this 25th day, October 2021.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolution
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to
and allow online auctions.
allow online auctions for tax foreclosure sales, tax resales, and to adopt rules governing online auctions.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Prodola, that we adopt the resolution and for allow online auctions and adopt the auction. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Now we can see how it's gonna work. I hope it does. The theory is good. It should be
It's been
better.
working. It's been
Yes.
And
working.
y'all got some proven
It's improved.
data on it.
Yeah. And that was the main reason for holding it. I wanted to make sure that everything was gonna run smoothly. And the main benefit also is just, we don't have to, task Debbie with the funds and all that anymore. It'll be all through our system and easier for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to agenda item number 11, Richard L. Jackson County Judge Michelle Mota, Grants Manager. 11A, discussion approve the submission of the 4-year 2022 Operation Lone Star Grant Program to fund 3 deputy sheriff positions dedicated to assist the Border Patrol security.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. This came through my email in mid-September, which I had let the judge and the sheriff know that this funding opportunity was available at that time. It's basically an opportunity to fund dedicated sheriff deputies and law enforcement towards the Border Patrol issue. And of course, obviously, we're not in proximity to the border, but there have been instances and incidents that are eligible to fund as far as like drugs and human trafficking and all that stuff. So it is a no match. It's a fully funded grant from the state governor, and the deputies would be.
They would be patrolling Wilson County?
Yeah, and they would probably have intercommunication with other sheriffs in other counties, but dedicated to that activity.
What period of time?
Right now, it's a year. It's similar to all the other state grants that we have, like VOCA, VAWA, the crime prevention grants that we've received, that we were And, I mean, this funds everything, their salaries, their equipment, everything.
Vehicle?
Yeah.
That's part of equipment. So,
I'm sorry, did you say it was a one-year grant?
yeah, 1 year for right now.
We don't
so-
know about a continuation?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, everything depends, right?
Yeah.
Given the administration and all that stuff. So, I mean, I would imagine if it's deemed worthy, that yes, there probably would be a likelihood of that. But, and because we're not as in proximity to the border, there is a chance we would not get awarded. But as I have learned through many discussions, not only through the state, but also the emergency management folks and other grant opportunities, that even though you're not directly impacted by whatever declaration there's out there, it's still worthwhile to submit the application. Because if other directly impacted jurisdictions do not submit applications, then they're gonna come looking at yours. So, I don't know, Sheriff, if you'd like to say anything about it?
Basically, it's the opportunity for us to actually put officers targeting what we encountered in the last week.
Yes.
And because that would be their sole position, is to do nothing but target drug smuggling, human trafficking, stuff like that.
I think it's worthwhile.
I make a motion, we go forward.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Padot, that we approve the submission of the 4-year 2022 Operation Lone Star Grant Program.
Fiscal year.
4-year, fiscal year, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rose. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
When
So-
will it go into effect? Or when will we know or get the
I
funding?
think I think it's December 1st, because it's due November 1st. So I think they really want a quick turnaround, obviously. So,
Yeah,
The sheriff's department,
yes.
take all the help we can get.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I'm gonna go to 11B, discuss and approve the submission and resolution for 4-year fiscal year 2022 indigent, let's see, indigent defense formula grant application. We talked about that this morning.
so this is the typical, or I shouldn't say typical, annual indigent formula grant that the county applies for every year. It is a formula grant determined by caseloads that we have, population, and I'm sure judges and all that good stuff. It's a minimal grant. I think the past years we've got like anywhere from $30,000 to $20-something thousand, $20,000 to $30,000. It does help with our indigent defense expense. And so they require a resolution of support, as well as some district plans, which are drafted by the administrative judge at district court, and he's aware of that, so this is just formality. And so the resolution reads, resolution of the Commissioners Court of the County of Wilson authorizing the filing of a grant application with the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for the 2022 Indigent Defense Formula Grant Program. Whereas under the provisions of the Texas Government Code Section 79037 and Tax Administrative Code Chapter 173, counties are eligible to receive grants from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission to provide improvements in indigent defense services in the county. And whereas this grant program will assist the county in the implementation and the improvement of the indigent criminal defense services in this county. And whereas Wilson County Commissioners Court has agreed that in the event of loss or misuse of the funds, Wilson County Commissioners Court assures that the funds will be returned in full to the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. Now therefore be it resolved and ordered that the county judge of this county is designated as the authorized official to apply for, accept, decline, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Indigent Defense Formula Grant Program. All other necessary documents to accept said grant, and be it further resolved that the county auditor is designated as the financial officer for this grant, adopted this 25th day of October 2021. And there's 2 copies, one for you and one for Eva, or one for me, one
Okay. Do we get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the submission and resolution for the fiscal year 2022 for the Indigent Defense Formula Grant application.
Second.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I'm on your harder of hearing side, that's why I said it a little louder.
Both sides are hard. Motion by Commissioner Perdola, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the submission of the grant for the indigent defense. I wish we were making, it's minimal, but we've gotten it every year, we need it. It at one time paid about 10% of what we pay in indigent defense. And that's all the state has ever given us.
Every little bit helps.
But every little bit helps. It's one of those, that is our biggest unfunded mandate that the state tells us we have to do, is indigent defense. Okay, now that I've said that, is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Well, please give them to EPA. Okay, 11C, discuss and approve this submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application to address the flooding hazards on County Road 128.
So I think a couple weeks ago, I got a call from TDEM telling us that they were short of projects and that we should get everything in. So that's pretty much what these next 4 items are for. County Road 128 was identified in our 2019 hazard mitigation plan. Is an eligible activity under the winter storms disaster. And I would just need your approval to submit the grant application for that project.
I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program applicable to address the flooding hazards on County Road 128.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Wiley, that we approve the work on 128. It's been needed. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that one carries. Okay, going to 11D, discuss and approve the submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application to update the 2019 Hazard Mitigation Plan for Wilson County.
Okay, so this is an important one. This is basically how we get these roadways, the improvements for your roadways that are impacted by flood or hazard, of any kind of hazard, repaired. You all worked with Atascosa County, Karnes County in 2019, doing the original initial hazard mitigation plan. It is a public process. It can be anywhere from 8 to 9 months to a year to get it developed. I'm not sure how long the last one took. But they look at everything. They look at flood, fire, drought, chemical spills, everything. And the reason why I say it's important is because you all, as elected officials, and your constituency really have to participate in the program to get projects identified. Because if they are not identified and put in that plan, they will not be funded by FEMA in a hazard mitigation plan or in a disaster. So that's why it's very, very important that participation happens and the projects, all of them,
Yeah.
can get in there.
Who was it that helped us with the last one?
Is Langford.
Langford? Yeah. Are they gonna be involved in this one?
They could. I mean, when I spoke with TDEM, they received high esteem. So I mean, they definitely could. I mean, the idea is to go out for bid and request all qualified consultants to bid once we get them.
Okay, because I believe their fees were covered.
That's what this grant would do, would be to cover
Yeah.
their fees.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I mean, it's a good I mean, it's a good planning tool.
I know, I was
Like
involved
said,
with
you
it
did it with
with
Carnes
Leanne.
3 years ago now almost. You definitely can choose to partner with someone. I just think that when you partner with someone, sometimes you don't always get what you.
So this will be just for Wilson County?
Wilson County.
We can do it just for Wilson.
And it won't be the cities or
No.
Carnes or anybody
No,
else?
It'll be everybody, I mean, so in your last plan, you had cities, you had,
Schools.
counties, you had the schools, correct, and, I mean.
And we had also had Carnes County.
Right, yes, right. So in order to be a successful plan and wholly inclusive, yes, you want all those stakeholders to participate. Because, I mean, you don't know, I mean, they could help you out as far as funding some of these things. You know, it shouldn't solely rely on you all if it's in a school district area or something else.
I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application to update the 2019 Hazard Mitigation Plan for Wilson County.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner File, that we approve the hazard mitigation plan. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
I just have one thing. I really want to encourage everybody to participate wholeheartedly in this because this is a wonderful opportunity. And remember that these projects are generally 25% or less match, which obviously means we don't have to put in quite as much money.
And there's different ways to match.
Yeah, and there's different ways to match.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to 11E, discuss and approve the submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application to address the flooding hazards on County Road 202.
So this particular project and this grant application is directly related to the hazard mitigation plan in 2019. It was a project identified. This first phase would fund basically the environmental planning, design, assessment of repairing that area on County Road 202. You're looking at, natural channel reconstruction, it doesn't always necessarily have to be elevation or anything like that. So the idea behind these next two is for us to hire a consultant, for them to provide you all with at least 3 options of how to fix that flood on 202 as well as County Road 401. And then you all determine through evaluation of the budget and future growth, what is the best option to go for in repairing that road.
All 3 of these projects mentioned, 128, 202, and 104, were all on our other mitigation of 2019.
That's what makes them eligible for her to apply for the grant.
Right. And just so you also know, before I came up here this morning, I got on the phone with TDM and basically asked, because they have 2 active disasters, the winter storms and Hurricane Laura. We are not a directly impacted county from Hurricane Laura. However, because of the shortage of projects, we could very well be awarded on that disaster because of the shortage of projects. So they advised me to basically submit the applications twice for winter storms and for Hurricane Laura.
I'm always going to ask. All they can do is say no.
Okay.
So double our opportunities for
Yeah,
getting.
we're available now for some
Okay.
funding from Harvey,
Right.
which we weren't originally. So, good.
I'll make a motion.
Motion,
Is it 202 East?
East, need to be east.
Yeah.
A grant, I'll make a motion, Judge, that we approve the grant application
I'll second.
to the disaster and flood hazards on County Road 202 East.
okay.
Second over here.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you, because both of us are like that. Motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Wiley, that we approve the application for County Road 202 East. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now let's finish it off. 11F, discuss and approve the submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Program application to address the flooding on County Road 401.
Same thing
Sorry.
with 401 as is County Road 202. Same type of project. It would be to analyze and assess the area of flooding hazards and danger to the public, and then
I make a motion to approve the submission of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application to address the flooding hazards on County Road 401.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Pardola, second by Commissioner Wiley, that we approve the grant program application for County Road 401. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in front of you there.
Okay. Now what you've waited for all this time. Okay, agenda item 12, Leanne Hoshek, EMC, 12A, subdivision, Eden Crossing, Unit 8, A1, review and approve the final plat. Discuss and take action.
General.
And it's all in precinct 4.
Yes.
It is now.
It is now.
Or will be.
Okay, so this is the last unit of Eden Crossing. And it's 34 lots. Came before the committee, the last meeting was given a favorable recommendation. All requirements have been met.
I make a motion that we approve it, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the final plat for Unit 8 of Eden Crossing. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
It's a dud. Didn't find it.
Here.
I'm a dud.
Wasn't any better.
Not much, you might try that one. I was gonna steal one, but they're not worth stealing.
They're not.
Just use two more, that kind of.
Yeah, because it's easier to reproduce, and it reproduces better. Yeah, kind of.
This next. Accept the letter of credit. Okay, let's go to 12A2, discuss and take action on acceptance of letter of credit, $187,690.
Make a motion, we approve it, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Fowle, that we approve the letter of credit. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We've got you done.
Thanks for your patience this morning. Say thanks for your patience this morning.
Okay, now we're going to 12B, subdivision, the Crossroads subdivision, B1, review and approve final plat, discuss and take action.
Okay, this one is in precinct 4. And it is 10 lots. There are no road improvements on this one. All lots have frontage onto an existing county road.
No one approves.
And this one came before before the committee at the last meeting and was given a favorable recommendation as well.
I make a motion, we approve it, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Perdola, that we approve the plat for the Crossroads subdivision. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ooh, where'd my pen go? Which way you want me to go with it?
You go that.
Morning.
It is.
Which lot you gonna buy, Judge?
None of them. I was just looking to see whose place that was. Are we ready to go on?
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to 12C subdivision, the draw at Rock Ridge subdivision. C1, review and approve final plat, discuss and take action.
Okay, this one is in precinct 2, County Road 405. And this one is 10 lots as well. There are no road improvements, so all the lots have frontage onto County Road 405.
They get flag lots.
I'll make a motion, Judge, we approve.
Motion by Commissioner File,
Second.
second by Commissioner Perdola, that we approve the final plat at the subdivision at the draw at Rock Ridge. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, got to sign.
Worth stealing, you can have it. Steal it.
Okay, agenda item 13, Christina Moots, Interim County Treasurer, financial report.
Everything is up to date, since Zach said I don't have anything to present to you. I mean, we're still on time.
I missed the last one.
You did, it was a good one.
Oh,
Had a great judge at that one.
no. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Agenda item 14, Jalen T. Botiford, Human Resource General Specialist, payroll and personnel changes.
Good morning. Taylor Marks was hired as a corrections officer for the Sheriff's Department effective October 12th, making $16.03 per hour and $35,000 annually. Madison Dominguez was hired as a patrol deputy for the Sheriff's Department effective today, October 25th, making $20.60 per hour and that should say $45,000 annually. Bonnie Ramirez was hired as a part-time extension secretary for the AgriLife Department effective October 27th, making $14.62 per hour. Brian Trevino resigned from his position as a corrections officer for the Sheriff's Department effective October 13th. And Summer Gorzell was terminated from her position as a part-time library clerk effective October 14th.
Thank you very much. Okay, And moving right along to agenda item 15, Brenda L. Trevino, County Auditor, bills.
Yes.
You have a financial report too?
Well, no, these
Okay.
are the bills, so this is the last set of bills that includes expenses for last fiscal year. So on November 8th, I've been working on my end of the year financial report for you, so on November 8th, I'll have that completed. I'm sorry. Total bills this go around is $294,338.73. I've completed on my financial report, the revenue side, so it's just the expenses, so after these are processed, I'll be able to have good numbers.
I have a question. And I was asking Amanda about it the other day because I signed it. On the juvenile deal, the bill from Karnes County, I never had remembered seeing it on the bills before, being something we've got to pay.
Oh,
But
our annual.
does it have to go through the bills or can we, because we have to have the juvenile.
Right, no, it's just something
Department.
that is, rather than cutting a check outside of court, since there's not a specific deadline for it or due date, we just included it.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Another question.
Yes.
Okay, like you said, some of it's, this is gonna end up, some of this stuff on last year's?
Yes, sir.
Does it,
It doesn't show it on this report, but we have another report, for any invoices that are dated through September 30th. So it's the date of the actual invoice that Amanda enters that determines if it goes into last fiscal year. And anything that came into question, she called either the commissioner or department head asking just to verify. I think she may have called a couple, I think Commissioner Wiley had one that we had to ask on, so.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Perdola, we approve the bills. Is there any more discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Is this back signed?
No, this one, that's your copy.
Okay, we didn't make it. Agenda item 16, adjournment at 11:45.
I want overtime.
Don't you start.